Chapter 1294. Feng Zhangxia held Xin Pan'er's hand and said emotionally, "Pan'er, you're my best daughter-in-law." Xin Pan'er smiled and said to Feng Zhangxia, "Mom, it's what I should do. If your younger brother's future wife can be half as good as you, I'll be relieved." Feng Zhangxia sighed with emotion. Now that they had separated from the main family, there was basically nothing for him to worry about. The only thing he was worried about was Zhao Tianhu's marriage. After all, it concerned Zhao Tianhu's marriage, so he had to take it seriously. "Mom, my younger sister-in-law will definitely be fine," Xin Pan'er said with a smile, but she felt a little uncomfortable in her heart. It was said that sisters-in-law were difficult to get along with. Who knew what kind of woman Zhao Tianhu would marry? If she wasn't easy to get along with, they would feel uncomfortable living together. Most importantly, if Zhao Tianhu married a woman, would Feng Zhangxia be biased? When her younger sister-in-law gave birth to a child, she would inevitably need Feng Zhangxia's help to take care of it. At that time, Feng Zhangxia wouldn't have so much time to take care of her Yang. Feng Zhangxia held Xin Pan'er's hand and said, "I also hope that your younger sister-in-law will be a good girl. That way we can live in harmony with each other." Xin Pan'er smiled and nodded, but she had other thoughts in her heart. Now that the main family and old Zhao's family had separated from each other, Xin Pan'er was happy that this matter was solved. Now she was thinking that it would be better for her branch to separate from Zhao Tianhu's branch. Zhao Tianhu was just a farmer in the countryside. He couldn't be compared with Zhao Tianlong, who had obtained scholarly honors and was going to live a life of an official in the future. If she took Zhao Tianhu and his family with her, she would be asking Zhao Tianlong to take care of Zhao Tianhu's family for no reason. In that case, they would definitely be at a disadvantage. Unfortunately, Xin Pan'er couldn't say it now. If she said it, Feng Zhangxia would definitely be unhappy. She had to wait for a chance to say it in the future. Feng Zhangxia then pulled Xin Pan'er to talk about Zhao Tianhu's marriage. It wouldn't be long before Zhao Tianhu's wedding could be arranged. After finishing the meal in the third branch's house, Zhao Yuner went back home. She was carrying a food box with some food in it. Zhao Yuner wasn't sure whether the emperor had left or not, so she put more food in it. Otherwise, if it was like last time where the emperor ate all the food, Mu Lianfeng wouldn't be able to eat. She was still on the mountain, was still on the mountain. Was still on the mountain. Mu Lianfeng led the emperor around the mountain and took a look at the smelting and weapon manufacturing places. This batch of weapons can greatly enhance the strength of our soldiers in Dezhou. The emperor stood with his hands clasped behind his back. After seeing the scene on the mountain, he praised Mu Lianfeng. Mu Lianfeng nodded. "The weapons in Dezhou are definitely much better than those in other countries, but I don't dare to claim credit for it. It's all thanks to Yuner." The emperor's lips curled into a smile. "Don't worry, Miss Yuner has done a meritorious deed. I know. In the future there should be a reward. I won't be short. I thank you on behalf of Yuner, Your Majesty," Mu Lianfeng said respectfully. Chapter 1295. Looking into the emperor's eyes, Mu Lianfeng's heart trembled. He felt that the emperor's sudden reaction was obviously because of some reason. Could it be that the emperor had doubts about his loyalty? His heart couldn't help but tighten. Mu Lianfeng hurriedly said, "Your Majesty, this subject is loyal and devoted to Your Majesty. This subject will follow Your Majesty forever in this life." The emperor glanced at Mu Lianfeng and the smile on his lips deepened. "Mu Aiqing, why are you so excited? Zhen was just saying it casually. Zhen knows your loyalty." Mu Lianfeng didn't know why, but because of the emperor's words, he became even more nervous. A layer of cold sweat involuntarily appeared on his forehead. "Your Majesty, this subject will try my best. This subject will definitely not let Your Majesty down." Mu Lianfeng opened his mouth and said, showing his loyalty in front of the emperor. The emperor's meaningful smile deepened. He didn't continue to answer Mu Lianfeng's words, which made Mu Lianfeng even more nervous. Just then he saw a woman's figure coming over. It was Zhao Yuner. Zhao Yuner greeted the two men. "I brought you food. Come and eat quickly." Mu Lianfeng was thinking, but the emperor took a step forward and walked towards Zhao Yuner. After a while, Mu Lianfeng came back to his senses and followed the emperor's footsteps. "It's really a blessing to be able to eat the food made by Miss Yuner again today." The emperor glanced at the food with a smile in his eyes. Zhao Yuner didn't know the emperor's identity. After knowing the emperor's identity, she was more or less afraid of this man. She was afraid that if she made him unhappy, she would suffer a calamity. "It's nothing. It's just a few more dishes. If you want to eat, you can stay here for a few more days," Zhao Yuner said politely, but didn't expect the emperor to directly agree. Mu Lianfeng was speechless as he looked at the man in bright yellow clothes. He still wanted to stay for a few more days? How could that be? Facing him every day, Mu Lianfeng felt that he was already depressed enough. If he stayed with him for a few days, how could he bear it? Most importantly, the emperor had to go back and deal with Imperial Consort Hua's imperial decree. However, no matter how rich Mu Lianfeng's thoughts were, he didn't dare to reveal any of them in front of the emperor. He was afraid that he would say something wrong and anger the emperor. While Mu Lianfeng was deep in thought, Zhao Yun'er had already placed the dishes on the small table. Seeing Mu Lianfeng in a daze, Zhao Yun'er greeted Mu Lianfeng again. Seeing Mu Lianfeng's restless look, Zhao Yun'er guessed the reason. She couldn't help but look at the emperor. Did he say something to Mu Lianfeng? Zhao Yun'er didn't ask too much. After serving Mu Lianfeng and the emperor for lunch, Zhao Yun'er went back. When she went down the mountain, she planned to go to Mu Lan's house and ask her to go up the mountain with her to pick tea. Just as she arrived at Mu Lan's courtyard, she heard the family Zhu quarreling. It was Madame Qi and Mrs. Zhu. Zhao Yun'er vaguely heard Mrs. Zhu scolding Madame Qi, "You damned woman, look at what you've done. You bought a broken mountain. What's the use of it? You squandered all the money at home. Now you can't even pay for your third brother's treatment. See how I deal with you." Chapter 1296. Mrs. Zhu was furious. She pointed at Madame Qi's nose and continued to scold her. "Tish, you only know how to talk big. It's because you're the head of the household that we can't keep our money and you squandered it away." Madame Qi was not convinced by Mrs. Zhu's scolding. "Mother, what's wrong with spending money? Dania hasn't said anything yet. What right do you have to scold me? If the money was in your hands, you would probably spend it all on third brother. Why would you even think about us?" Mrs. Zhu glared fiercely at Madame Qi. "You little Tish, you know how to talk back. When Daniel comes back, I'll have a good talk with him and see if he can't deal with you." After Mrs. Zhu said that, Madame Qi felt a little scared. She only said it in front of Mrs. Zhu. If Zhu Daniel came back and asked about the barren mountain, she wouldn't know what to say. She didn't want it to be like this. Who knew that the T.C. Zhao Yun'er wouldn't buy it? Now she couldn't transfer it out. She thought about how she went over to the barren mountain yesterday. She went to look for Lord Li Zheng. When Madame Qi arrived at Li Zheng's house, Li Zheng happened to be home, so Madame Qi walked in. When Li Zheng saw Madame Qi, he wasn't very happy. This was because Madame Qi was a troublemaker in the village. She must be here for some trivial matter. However, even if he didn't welcome her, he couldn't stop her from coming. He asked Madame Qi, "Family Zhu's eldest daughter-in-law, what are you here for today?" Madame Qi went up to Lord Li Zheng and smiled at him with a fawning look. "Lord Li Zheng? I'm here for something. There's something I want to discuss with you." Li Zheng's frown deepened. He had a premonition that something bad was going to happen. He replied faintly, "Just say it. I'll agree if I can. If I can't do it, I can't agree. Whether you agree or not depends on what it is." Madame Qi smiled embarrassedly and replied to Lord Li Zheng, "Lord Li Zheng, you're right. I'm here to discuss with you about the barren mountain. Can our village still take it back? I'll return it to the village. Can you return the 5 taels of silver I gave you earlier?" Hearing Madame Qi's words, Lord Li Zheng's face darkened. Originally, Zhao Yun'er still wanted to buy it. However, after being tormented by Madame Qi, Zhao Yun'er did not buy it. Because of this, Lord Li Zheng felt somewhat guilty towards Zhao Yun'er. Now, Madame Qi wanted to return the barren mountain to the village. If that was the case, then what was the point of buying it in the first place? Seeing Li Zhengdaren's sullen face and not speaking, Madame Qi nervously glanced at Li Zhengdaren. "Lord Li Zheng? My family really can't use this barren mountain. When I bought it, I didn't discuss it with my husband. Now, my husband scolded me to death. He said that if I can't get back the 5 taels of silver, he will beat me to death." Madame Qi wiped her tears as she spoke, looking exceptionally pitiful. For a moment, Lord Li Zheng didn't know what to say to Madame Qi. That saying was right. Heaven's sins could be forgiven, but self-inflicted sins were the hardest to bear. For a person like Madame Qi, if she didn't suffer a little, she wouldn't learn her lesson. Chapter 1297. Madame Qi had taken the initiative to spend 5 taels of silver to buy the barren mountain, so it was normal for Zhu Daniel to be angry. If his wife had spent 5 taels of silver to buy something useless, he would probably be angry too. Madame Qi's tears kept falling, looking panicked and helpless. Seeing this, village head felt pity for Madame Qi. However, how could they return something that was sold for no reason? Moreover, Madame Chi had bought the barren mountain and he had already helped her with the paperwork. Unless someone else bought it from Madame Chi, the village would not spend money to take it back. Sympathy was sympathy, but some rules could not be broken. Lord Village Head said to Madame Chi, "Family Ju's eldest daughter-in-law, it's not that I don't want to help you, but the village really can't take back your barren mountain. It would have been fine if the paperwork hadn't been done, but now that the paperwork has been done, your name is also written on the title deed of the barren mountain in the village. Lord Village Head, can't you help me a little more? You can't just watch as my daimyo beats me to death, right?" Madame Chi wiped her tears and continued to cry in front of Lord Village Head. Lord Village Head sighed deeply. "Ai, Family Ju's eldest daughter-in-law, I really can't help you. I'll talk to daimyo and ask him not to be agitated and not to beat you too hard." Madame Chi's eyes were still filled with worry. "Lord Village Head, this won't do. My daimyo won't care. He'll deal with you verbally, but he'll continue to beat me later. Then I can't do anything about it. Family Ju's eldest daughter-in-law, after all, you have a lot of responsibility for this matter. If you didn't insist on it back then, it wouldn't have ended up like this." Madame Chi pursed her lips and said, "Lord Village Head, how would I know at that time? If she had known, she wouldn't have bought it even if she was beaten to death." Now he finally knew what it meant to be regretful. "Ai, there's no way to change it now. Family Ju's eldest daughter-in-law, instead of begging me, it's better to beg Zhao Yun, or she just happens to want to buy the barren mountain. Let her buy your barren mountain and you can get your 5 tails back. Now you'd better leave. It's useless to say anything to me." As Li Zheng spoke, he looked like he was chasing Madame Chi away. Madame Chi knew that Lord Li Zheng was chasing her away. No matter how much effort she put in, Lord Li Zheng would not pay attention to her. She felt a little uncomfortable and pursed her lips. In order not to be disliked by Lord Li Zheng, Chi Shi turned around and left. As for Lord Li Zheng's suggestion for her to beg Zhao Yun, forget it. Zhao Yuner, that be asterisk ts, even if he begged her, it would probably be useless. Most importantly, Madame Chi couldn't bear to see her being humble to Zhao Yuner and Zhao Yun, showing off in front of her. After returning home, Madame Chi knew that she was at her wits' end and couldn't move the barren mountain out. She was afraid that Zhu Dainyu would mention this matter. Madame Chi thought about it again. Why did she want to take advantage of him? Great, now she had shot herself in the foot. Pulling her thoughts back to reality, Madame Chi angrily retorted in the face of Mrs. Zhu's incessant scolding, "Mother, what's the use of scolding me? If you have the ability, go reason with Lord Li Zheng and ask him to take back the barren mountain. This way won't we get our 5 tails back?" Chapter 1298. It's fine if you don't want to say it. But we can't afford the money for third brother's treatment. Anyway, it's not our family's treatment. Madame Chi replied uncomfortably. Mrs. Zhu was so angry at Madame Chi that she almost vomited blood. This stinky woman had grasped this point. "Bitch, see if I don't teach you a lesson. Without Dainyu's protection, where can you go?" As Mrs. Zhu spoke, she picked up a stone from the ground and threw it at Madame Chi. Madame Chi quickly jumped away and frowned. She said angrily to Mrs. Zhu, "You old hag, you really dare to hit me? Aren't you afraid that you'll smash me to death?" "You deserve to be smashed to death," Mrs. Zhu replied fiercely. "All right. Vicious old hag, I usually put up with you because you're an elder. Since you've gone overboard, I won't be polite." As she spoke, Madame Chi rolled up her sleeves and looked like she was going to fight Mrs. Zhu to the death. In the courtyard, Mulan saw that her mother-in-law and sister-in-law were about to fight, so she quickly stepped forward and separated the two of them. "Mother, sister-in-law, don't fight. We're family. It's not good for anyone if you get hurt. If outsiders see this, they'll laugh at our family." Zhu. Mrs. Zhu also glared at Mulan and said to Mulan with a look of disdain, "That's enough, second daughter-in-law, don't be hypocritical. I don't usually see you being so filial." "Mother." Mulan looked at Mrs. Zhu speechlessly. Why did she have to be scolded for no reason? Was it wrong for him to come and stop the fight? "Second sister-in-law, get out of the way. This old hag must be taught a lesson. Now that she's relying on Dainyu's protection, who does she think she is?" Madame Chi pushed Mulan and despised Mulan for being a hindrance. Mulan looked at Madame Chi helplessly and then looked at Mrs. Zhu, not knowing what to say. After thinking about it, she decided not to meddle in other people's business. She cared about them in her heart, but she didn't end up well in front of them. Since that was the case, what was the point of her doing this? It was better to not meddle in order to avoid offending them. Mulan then stepped back and let Mrs. Zhu and Madame Chi fight. The two of them fought intensely. Mulan stood at the side and frowned. Seeing the scratches on old Madame Zhu and Qishir's faces, she sighed helplessly. She could only let them go. If she went to stop them now, her face would be scratched too. For her own safety, she couldn't eat it. It was a pity that Zhu Daniu and Zhu Eru were not at home. Otherwise, it would be much better for the two men to go forward and stop them. This matter was caused by Zhu Sanlu, so Mulan said to Zhu Sanlu, "Third brother, mother and sister-in-law are fighting fiercely. Go and talk to them. Tell them to stop fighting. If the neighbors come over, they'll laugh at our family again." Zhu Sanlu looked at Mulan reluctantly and said to Mulan, "Sister-in-law, I don't want to." "Didn't you see that old sister-in-law and mother are fighting fiercely? If I go over now, wouldn't it be worse? What if my handsome face is scratched? Can you afford to pay for it?" Mulan's mouth twitched a few times and she looked at Zhu Sanlu speechlessly. A man saying such words was really too shameless. She didn't know how he had the nerve to say it. Chapter 1299. However, Zhu Sanlu didn't go over and Mulan couldn't urge him, so she could only let Zhu Sanlu do as he wished. Glancing at Zhu Sanlu, Mulan sighed in her heart. She felt that her third younger brother was really too heartless. Mrs. Zhu fought with Madame Qi because of him. Now that she was beaten until her face was covered in bruises, Zhu Sanlu didn't feel any heartache. She had never seen a son who treated his own mother this way. Mrs. Zhu had doted on Zhu Sanlu for so many years for nothing. She had raised an ingrate who had no conscience. However, Mrs. Zhu couldn't see through him. She still doted on Zhu Sanlu like a treasure. By the time Zhao Yun walked into the family Zhu's courtyard, Mrs. Zhu and Madame Qi were already fighting fiercely. Zhao Yun couldn't help but want to laugh when she saw the two of them. It was a happy sight to see a B*TCH fighting another B*TC. Zhao Yun looked at it with interest as if she was watching a show. Seeing that Zhao Yun had come over, Mulan went forward to greet Zhao Yun. "Yun, you're here?" Zhao Yun nodded and responded, "Yeah. I was going to ask you to go up the mountain to pick tea leaves, but I didn't expect to see this scene." Mulan smiled helplessly. "Yun, we've embarrassed ourselves in front of you." "Aha, this has nothing to do with you. The two of them are fighting. You can just watch the show. Actually, you don't have to get involved with people like them. Otherwise you'll get hurt." Mulan responded, "Yeah Yun, I know." Zhao Yun smiled and said, "Yeah, it's good that you know. I'm just afraid that you're too stupid. You can't be too kind-hearted." "Yun, I'll remember what you said." Zhao Yun recalled that Mrs. Zhu had said that she wanted to treat Zhu Sanlu's illness. She asked Mulan curiously, "Sister-in-law Mulan, what illness did your third brother get?" At the mention of this, Mulan's ears turned red. She pursed her lips and said, "What illness? My mother didn't ask for money to treat my third brother's illness. She asked for money so that my third brother's lifeblood could survive." When Zhao Yun heard Mulan's words, she couldn't help but choke. "Your third brother's family jewels? They've been trampled on, so how can it be cured?" Mulan shook her head. "I don't know. I'm not sure. However, I have to say that in a village 20 miles away, there is a godly doctor who specializes in treating strange diseases. My mother asked around for a long time before she found out that this miracle doctor had cured someone's family jewels before. So, my mother wanted to take my third brother to have a try. If he succeeds, my third brother's family jewels will be preserved. In the future, he'll be able to marry a wife like a normal person. This way, our family Zhu won't have a descendant." After Zhao Yun heard this, she couldn't help but sigh in her heart. If Zhu Sanlu's family jewels were really cured, it would be terrible. Zhu Sanlu might harm people again like before. Therefore, it was much safer for Zhu Sanlu to lose his family jewels. If Zhu Sanlu's family jewels were really cured, who knew if he would harm people again? In order to prevent accidents from happening, it was better for Zhu Sanlu to be treated. Fortunately, the family Zhu had no money now. Without money, there would be no money for treatment. Zhu Sanlu's family jewels would not be cured. Zhao Yun felt a wave of sadness in her heart. Chapter 1300. With Zhao Yun's reminder, Mulan remembered that her third brother was a dangerous person and could not be cured easily. "Yun, I know. Given the current situation, my third brother won't have the money to treat his illness." As Mulan said this, she heaved a sigh of relief in her heart. In the courtyard, Mrs. Zhu and Madame Qi were still fighting fiercely. They only stopped when Zhu Daniu came back. Zhu Daniu said unhappily to Mrs. Zhu and Madame Qi, "What are you fighting about? What are you fighting about? Fighting and quarreling every day, isn't it annoying?" Zhu Daniu was in a bad mood and his face was gloomy. Originally he was working well in the field. Suddenly, someone ran to him and told him that his mother and wife were fighting. At that time there were many people around. After hearing this they all looked at him strangely. Zhu Dainyu felt very embarrassed. After all, as a man he cared a lot about his reputation outside. It was not good to have his mother and wife talk badly about. Now that he was back, Zhu Dainyu vented his anger on Mrs. Zhu and Madame Qi. Madame Qi complained to Zhu Dainyu, "Dainyu, you can't blame me for this. It's all my mother's fault. She picked up a stone and threw it at me first. I had no choice but to fight back." Mrs. Zhu glared at Madame Qi and said, "Bitch, no one is better at lying than you. It's all because you wasted 5 taels of silver and caused your third brother to be unable to treat his illness. Dainyu, this prodigal mother can't manage the family well. In the future, it's better to put the family's money in my hands. Otherwise our family will have nothing to eat. Sooner or later this bitch will squander it all." If it weren't for Zhu Dainyu, Madame Qi would have gone forward and scratched Mrs. Zhu's mouth. This damned old woman only knows how to talk. Now, she still wants to manage the family's money like before. She is really wishful thinking. Dainyu, don't listen to your mother. Mother is doing this for your third brother. If you really put the money in her hands, she will probably spend it on your third brother. With your third brother's condition, it's a waste of money to treat him. If you want to cure him, I'm afraid it will be a bottomless pit. Madame Qi did not want to fall behind and whispered in Zhu Dainyu's ear. Old Madame Zhu's saliva directly sprayed on Qi Shi's face. Bullshit. You couldn't spit out ivory just now. You're still Lu Er's sister-in-law. Is there such a sister-in-law? Mother, you're really biased. It would be great if you could take care of our first branch like this. Madame Qi said sarcastically. Zhu Dainyu had a headache because of old Madame Zhu and Madame Qi. Shut up both. Mother Zhu is Dainyu. Do you believe that if you say another word, I'll give each of you a slap? Zhu Dainyu roared. His roar was so loud that Mrs. Zhu and Madame Qi's eardrums could not help but vibrate. The two of them were frightened by Zhu Dainyu and quickly shut their mouths. Zhu Dainyu glanced at Mrs. Zhu and then at Madame Qi. I am really unlucky to have met people like you. Next time if you make a fuss, get out. Don't stay in the courtyard. Madame Qi's reaction to Zhu Dainyu's words was not bad. She was already used to it. Mrs. Zhu, on the other hand, was very uncomfortable. Her son disliked her so much and even said such things about her. Anyone would feel very uncomfortable. Chapter 1301. Old Madame Zhu sat on the ground and kicked up her legs. As she cried, she continued to wail, "These days are not over at all. My wife is not a kind person. She bullies me all the time. It's better for her to die so that I don't have to suffer up there." Hey old man, did you hear that? Looking at Mrs. Zhu kicking her legs on the ground, Zhu Dainyu felt his temples ache uncontrollably. Wasn't her mother saying that he wasn't filial when she made such a fuss? If this was heard by others, they might poke him in the back again. He had to stay in the village and couldn't stand other people's gossip. Zhu Dainyu had to walk to Mrs. Zhu and pull Mrs. Zhu, who was on the ground. Mother, what are you doing? You're shouting so loudly. The neighbors will hear it later. Mrs. Zhu replied unhappily, so what if they hear it? I have to show them how hard my life is. Zhu Dainyu's face was dark and unsightly. Mother, even if you don't think it's shameful, I still want to save my face. I just scolded you. Didn't you and Xiao Er's mother argue? If you two didn't argue in front of me, I wouldn't have scolded you. It's tiring enough to work every day. When I come home I have to see you arguing. If you have so much energy, why don't you go to the field and help me? After Zhu Dainyu finished, Mrs. Zhu closed her mouth. She had made a fuss before. Now that she saw Zhu Dainyu's face changed and he seemed to be angry, she didn't dare to make a fuss again. If she really annoyed Zhu Dainyu, she would end up in a miserable state. Mrs. Zhu said with embarrassment, "Oh, Dainyu, I don't want to do this, but your third younger brother's family jewels have to be cured. No matter how poor our family is, we have to cure your third younger brother. Otherwise, I won't be able to face your father when I go back." As old Madame Zhu spoke, her resentful gaze fell on Qi Shi. If this Tsich hadn't lost their family's money, they would have been able to pay for Zhu Sanlu's treatment. Mother, I think it's fine to not treat third brother's family jewels. Anyway, he can't do anything good with that kind of thing. Zhu Dainyu didn't have any taboos in front of old Madame Zhu and directly said to her. Even if his family was rich, he wouldn't let Mrs. Zhu use the money to treat Zhu Sanlu's family jewels. Madame Qi hurriedly chimed in, "That's right, mother. Don't you know what kind of person third brother is? It's a good thing that we don't have it, but if we do, we'll be in danger." Mrs. Zhu was furious. "I've never seen such a heartless brother and sister-in-law. Do you want our third branch to die? Mrs. Zhu scolded. She breathed heavily and threatened Zhu Dainiu and Mrs. Qi, if you don't agree to cure your third younger brother today, I'll kill myself in front of you. After I die, I'll curse you. Mrs. Zhu's words were very serious. Zhu Dainiu and Mrs. Qi were scared. People in the village were superstitious. They believed in things like curses very much. Chapter 1302. Zhao Yuner, who was watching the drama, had the same thought as Mrs. Qi. Mrs. Zhu wasn't very old. If she lived well, she could live for at least 20 years. Who wasn't afraid of death? Especially old Madame Zhu, she was probably even more afraid of death. If she really hit the wall, Mrs. Zhu would be terrified. Mulan watched from the side, but she was very worried. She was afraid that old Madame Zhu would really take things too hard and hit the wall. She looked at Mrs. Zhu with concern. Zhao Yuner patted Mulan's hand and comforted her. Mrs. Mulan, it's fine. Your sister-in-law is right. She's just bluffing. If you're scared, she'll achieve her goal. Mulan frowned and nodded. She murmured, well, I don't think so. My mother won't do that. Zhu Dainiu glanced at Mrs. Zhu. He was a little worried at first, but after hearing Mrs. Qi's words, he thought it was reasonable. Zhu Dainiu cared about money. He didn't know how much it would cost to cure his third younger brother. If he was soft-hearted and agreed, he would regret it in the future. Mrs. Zhu glared at Mrs. Qi. The more she thought about it, the more aggrieved she felt. They were sure that she wouldn't hit the wall, so they said those words. Thinking that Zhu Sanlu didn't have money to treat his illness, his penis couldn't recover, Mrs. Zhu felt desperate. Old Madame Zhu took a deep breath and mustered up her courage. She suddenly slammed her head against the wall. When she hit the wall, Mrs. Zhu deliberately controlled her strength. She only hit her head, but she wouldn't really kill herself. Ah! There was a sudden scream in the yard. Zhu Dainiu and Mulan both ran to Mrs. Zhu at once. Zhu Dainiu shouted, Mom, are you all right? Don't scare me. Mulan also shouted, Mother, why did you hit your head against the wall? Seeing this, Zhu Sanlu finally frowned and walked in the direction of old Madame Zhu. He knew better than anyone else that in the whole family Zhu, only his mother loved him the most. Without his mother, he couldn't live a good life. Therefore his mother couldn't be eaten. Even if she died, he had to be able to raise himself and take care of himself first. Only Madame Qi stood there in a daze. She didn't expect that old Madame Zhu would really hit the wall. At this moment, she only muttered in her heart, It's over, it's over. Zhu Dainiu will definitely scold her to death. What should she do? This damn old woman might harm others, but she still wanted to harm others after she died. Mrs. Qi silently prayed that she wouldn't be implicated. She didn't care about Mrs. Zhu's life at all. Old Madame Zhu's forehead was swollen and a lot of blood came out. It looked a little scary. Hearing Zhu Dainiu's voice, Mrs. Zhu pretended to cry. You're such a heartless son. Why did you stop me? Do you still have me in your heart? I'd rather die. After all, she was his mother who raised him. Zhu Dainiu wasn't as heartless as Zhu Sanlu. Seeing Mrs. Zhu like this, he frowned and looked at Mrs. Zhu with worry. Mom, don't be angry. Can't we talk it out? Do I have to find a living one? Mrs. Zhu snorted. Talk it out? What's there to talk about? Haven't you and your wife already made a deal? Mom? Chapter 1303. Mrs. Zhu didn't believe that Zhu Dainiu wouldn't be scared if she made a scene a few more times. Everyone cared about their reputation, and she knew that her son valued his reputation very much. If she died because of Zhu Dainiu, the villagers would definitely gossip about Zhu Dainiu. Mom? Zhu Dainiu truly felt somewhat helpless and he didn't know what to do. If he didn't agree, Mrs. Zhu would probably hit her head against the wall again. Zhu Dainiu couldn't be too harsh, so he could only angrily say to old Madame Zhu, Mother, it's not that we don't want to treat third brother's illness. It's just that my wife has squandered all the money in the family. Mom, I'll teach her a lesson, but I don't have the money right now. Then I don't want to live anymore. If I can't cure Zhuang, there's no point for me to live anymore. Zhu Dainiu twitched the corners of his mouth. After thinking for a while, he said to his mother, Mom, don't be like this. We need money to cure our third brother's illness. We can't steal money now. Well, why don't you ask our second brother and second sister-in-law for money? Their family is rich enough to build a house. I'm sure they can afford the money for our third brother's treatment. After Zhu Dainiu said that, Mrs. Zhu's sight fell on Mulan. Mulan's heart skipped a beat. What was Zhu Dainiu talking about? What did he mean by her family was rich? Her family wasn't living a good life either. Zhao Yuner had borrowed the money to build a house. Now that the breakfast stand in the town was closed, they didn't have a fixed income. Before they found a new way to make money, they had to save money. They couldn't spend it casually. Zhu Dainiu had completely pushed all the blame onto her. It was impossible for Mulan to have any opinions in her heart. Second sister-in-law, mother gave birth to second brother and raised him. As a daughter-in-law, you should be filial to mother. You can't just watch mother die in front of us, Zhu Dainiu said to Mulan. Mulan couldn't help but snort coldly in her heart. Since she knew that she should be filial, why didn't she see how filial she was usually? Now she was talking about her. Mulan suppressed the anger in her chest and said to Zhu Dainiu, "Brother, what are you talking about? Your family has no money and my family has no money either." Second sister-in-law, if you don't want to care about our mother's life and death, just say it. How dare you say that you don't have money? Who doesn't know your family is rich? Mrs. Zhu scolded, "Our old family Zhu has sinned by marrying a scourge. She only knows how to spend money on others and not on her own family." Mrs. Zhu was hinting at Mu Hin. Since Mulan had married into the family Zhu, she was a member of the family Zhu. In theory, she shouldn't meddle in her family's affairs. However, Mulan had brought Mu Hin to the family Zhu. In the family Zhu's eyes, they had raised an outsider for nothing. Mulan understood Mrs. Zhu's meaning, so she explained, "Mother, my sister didn't come here to eat for free. She helped me every day. During this period she helped Yuner's breakfast stall and was paid. The money she earned was enough to pay for her living expenses." Mrs. Zhu didn't listen to Mulan's words. "You are such an unfilial daughter-in-law. Your old family Zhu has 8 generations of bad luck. You don't even care about your mother-in-law's life and death." Chapter 1304. Zhu Dainiu hurriedly continued to nag in Mulan's ear. Mulan's brows knitted together in displeasure. Her older brother was really too interesting. He was reluctant to fork out his own money and pushed the blame to her. His words were so pleasant to hear. He was obviously treating her like a fool. She wasn't really a fool. If this had happened in the past, Mulan might not have dared to say anything. Now that he was following behind Zhao Yuner, he had learned not to be taken advantage of. This time Mulan replied somewhat unyieldingly. "Eldest brother, we borrowed money from Yuner to build our house. Now we owe her dozens of taels of silver. Are you sure your family is poorer than mine? Not only do I have no money now, but I also owe a lot of money. At the very least, you don't owe anyone money, right? In comparison, you do have more money than me. So you have to take care of our mother's life first. You're the eldest son, the biological son. Your business is bigger than mine." When Mulan said this, Zhu Dainiu was immediately stumped and didn't know what to say. However, Zhu Dainiu couldn't bear to fork out the money, so he stubbornly said to Mulan, "Since your family can borrow dozens of taels of silver to build a house, why don't you continue to borrow more money to treat third brother's illness?" Mrs. Zhu followed behind Zhu Dainiu and agreed, "That's right, second daughter-in-law. If you have the ability to borrow money, why don't you borrow more to treat your third brother's illness?" Mulan's mouth twitched. She had never met such a shameless person. She actually dared to say such things. If she borrowed money from Zhao Yuner to treat Zhu Sanlu's illness, she would definitely have to repay the money that she borrowed from Zhao Yuner. The rest of the family Zhu definitely had no intention of helping her repay the money. Wouldn't it be equivalent to her paying for Zhu Sanlu's treatment? As expected, she was still too thin-skinned in front of them. Mulan was so angry that she wanted to curse. In the end, she calmed down and thought about it. She said to Zhu Dainiu and Mrs. Zhu, "Big brother, it's easy for you to say that. I've already seen dozens of taels of silver. How can I have the nerve to go and borrow more? If you want to borrow it, why don't you go, big brother?" Zhu Dainiu originally had an abacus in his heart. Now that Mulan said this, how could he continue with his wishful thinking? She pursed her lips and said to Mulan, "How can I borrow it? I'm not familiar with Zhao Yuner. Even if I go over, she won't lend it to me. Second sister-in-law, you're familiar with Zhao Yuner. As long as you ask, she won't refuse to lend it to you." Zhao Yuner was speechless as she listened to the conversation. The Zhu family's top-notch goods were usually harder to find. It was obvious that they were ganging up to bully Mulan's family. As the saying went, kind people were bullied and kind horses were ridden. Sometimes one shouldn't be too nice. Otherwise, women would think that they were easy to bully. This was Mulan's family matter. As an outsider, Zhao Yuner couldn't interfere too much. She waited to see how Mulan would deal with it. Mulan sneered, "Big brother, you have a great idea. You said that you don't have the money. If you really want to treat third brother, why don't you sell the family's 1 mu of land? Then you'll have the money. Why should I borrow it? Chapter 1305. Zhu Daniu's face instantly turned red when he heard Mulan's words. After all, he knew that he was in the wrong. He wanted to argue with Mulan, but he couldn't. Zhao Yun couldn't help but want to give Mulan a thumbs up. She was really good. She should have said that. There was no need to save any face for a weirdo like the family Zhu. Zhu Daniu didn't say anything, but Mrs. Zhu started to make a fuss. Second daughter-in-law, you *tc. You still want to sell our family Zhu's fields. These are the roots of our family Zhu's livelihood. How are we going to survive without the fields? It's fine if you don't bear to part with the money, but how could you say such things? Family Zhu married you for nothing. Mulan said to Mrs. Zhu with a straight face, Mother, I've already made myself very clear. Previously, when we separated from the family, third brother and eldest brother lived together. The fields were also handed over to eldest brother. My family didn't get any benefits. So, no matter what happened to third brother, he should look for eldest brother instead of us. If you really want me to be responsible for the money, why don't you transfer all of third brother's fields to me? My family will pay for third brother's treatment. After Mulan finished speaking, Mrs. Zhu's face darkened. How could he bear to hand over Zhu Samu's fields to Mulan? A mu of land was expensive. If Zhu Sanlu sold all of his fields, he would probably be able to get more than 10 taels of silver. And Zhu Sanlu's treatment didn't need more than 10 taels of silver. At most, he would only need a few taels of silver. She went to the godly doctor's village to inquire about the price. Because the godly doctor was from the countryside and wasn't a famous doctor in Yang City, the house visit fee wasn't expensive. The villagers basically didn't have much money. The godly doctor knew that, so he never asked for a high price. You black-hearted wife. My heir didn't say anything, but you said it. I'll ask heir to pay for it later. Mrs. Zhu replied unwillingly. Mulan snorted coldly, Mother, it doesn't matter who you tell. Anyway, my family has no money. Heir can't take it out either. When Mrs. Zhu heard this, her heart sank. She slapped her thigh and cried, I don't want to live anymore. I don't want to live anymore. I'll just kill myself. They were all heartless people. Old man, if you leave, my life will be miserable. The whole family only knows how to bully me. With that, Mrs. Zhu wanted to bang her head against the wall again. Originally, Mulan still cared about Mrs. Zhu. But now, she didn't want to talk to Mrs. Zhu at all. Because as long as they paid attention to Mrs. Zhu, the second branch would be at a disadvantage. Anyway, Zhu Daniu was there. If even her son didn't care about her, how could outsiders cast their eyes on her, their daughter-in-law, to blame? Sometimes, one had to be ruthless, especially in a situation like this where it was obvious that they would be at a disadvantage if they were soft-hearted. Second sister-in-law, are you really going to watch our mother die without doing anything? Zhu Daniu gulped as Mulan asked. Mulan replied, Big brother, are you going to watch our mother die without doing anything? Why don't you sell a mu of land and raise enough money to treat third brother's illness? That way we won't have to seek death. Zhu Daniu choked and didn't know how to reply. When did his second sister-in-law become so eloquent? She wasn't like this in the past. Chapter 1306. Zhu Sanlu walked over to Mrs. Zhu impatiently and said to Mrs. Zhu, Mother, why are you crying? Don't make a fuss. If it doesn't work, just sell me 1 mu of land to save me the trouble. Mrs. Zhu stopped crying and blinked at Zhu Sanlu. Lu, that's the capital for your future wife. If you sell the land, how will you and your wife live in the future? If you don't have land to plant, you won't have food to eat. You'll starve to death. Mrs. Zhu loved her youngest son dearly. She was afraid that Zhu Sanlu wouldn't have a good life in the future, so she started to scheme for Zhu Sanlu. Zhu Sanlu replied indifferently, Mother, that's a matter for the future. We'll talk about it later. The most important thing now is to cure my manhood. Otherwise, without it, how can I get a wife? I'm afraid I'll be single for the rest of my life. Mrs. Zhu thought about Zhu Sanlu's words. That was indeed the case. If Zhu Sanlu's manhood couldn't be cured, he would be equivalent to a cripple in the future. Even if he got a wife, he wouldn't be able to carry on the family line. Wouldn't that be tantamount to being boring? The most important thing now was to cure Zhu Sanlu. Alright then. Later, I'll ask your eldest brother to help you find the person who bought the land and sell 1 mu of land to treat your illness. Mrs. Zhu responded. Seeing that Mrs. Zhu had thought it through and stopped tormenting him, Zhu Daniu finally breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. He followed Mrs. Zhu and said, Mother, I'll help you ask later. Mrs. Zhu snorted and glanced at Zhu Daniu unhappily. In the end it's because of your good wife. If she hadn't lost the 5 taels of silver, would our family be able to buy Lu Er's land now? Zhu Daniu's expression was also ugly. Thinking of this, Zhu Daniu became angry. His unhappy gaze fell on Mrs. Qi. Mrs. Qi felt very uncomfortable when Zhu Daniu looked at her like this. She replied weakly, I didn't think of it. Humph, it's been a few days and this barren mountain hasn't been sold yet. I think you want to keep this thing to eat? Zhu Daniu scolded Mrs. Qi angrily. Daniu, I'm also anxious, but I can't find anyone to buy it. Didn't you say that Zhao Yuner wants it? Hurry and ask her if she still wants it. We have to sell it. Otherwise we won't get a farts. After Zhu Daniu finished speaking, he didn't forget to add, if you can't get me some money, I'll really rent you out. Let's see if you,'s life. Madame Qi responded weakly and looked at Zhao Yun. She really had no choice but to beg Zhao Yun, because she really didn't want to be rented out to give birth to another man's child and become his wife. Generally, men who gave birth to women couldn't marry a wife. They were either too ugly or too poor. They could only rent a woman back to give birth to a child to carry on the family line. If she really went over, then her life would be miserable. Thinking about her future life, she had to beg Zhao Yun, or no matter what. Even if her heart was full of unwillingness. At this time, Zhao Yun was still in the family Zhu's courtyard talking to Mulan. It was nothing more than praise for Mulan. Chapter 1307. Before she could say a few words to Mulan, she saw Madame Qi walking towards her. Zhao Yun raised her head, the corners of her mouth evoked a cold smile. Madame Qi stopped in front of Zhao Yun and smiled at Zhao Yun. Madame Qi's sudden show of goodwill, Zhao Yun knew that it must be because of something. She sneered and asked, Sister-in-law, do you have something to say? Madame Qi asked in a fawning manner, Yun, do you still want to buy that barren mountain? Zhao Yun knew what Madame Qi meant. She shook her head and replied, Didn't I say already? I don't need it anymore. Madame Qi suddenly became anxious. Yun, didn't you want it before? Why do you suddenly not want it now? Do you think that the price I quoted is too high? How about this, we can discuss the price as long as you're willing to buy it? Madame Qi wouldn't have said this before. Now that she was forced into a corner, she could only say this to Zhao Yun, because if she didn't sell the barren mountain, she would suffer in the future. Price? Then tell me yourself, how much are you going to give up? Zhao Yun hooked up the corner of her mouth and asked. This. Madame Qi's eyes turned. She had to think of a compromise price. She wouldn't suffer too much loss and her daughter was willing to buy it. Yun, how about this, I'll transfer 4 taels of silver to you. I'll lose 1 tael and you'll save 1 tael of silver compared to buying it directly from there. If Zhao Yun didn't accept it, it could only be said that Zhao Yun was too greedy. To Madame Qi's disappointment, Zhao Yun really didn't say a word. Madame Qi became even more anxious. Zhao Yun, for taels of silver is already very low. Don't tell me you still want more? I can't give you the entire barren mountain, right? Zhao Yun's eyes flashed with a trace of craftiness as she faintly spat out 2 words, 2 taels. What? Madame Qi's eyes widened as if she didn't understand what Zhao Yun said. Zhao Yun explained, Don't you understand? What I mean is, if you want to sell it to me, I will only give you 2 taels of silver. Madame Qi opened her mouth and was a little angry. How could she be like this? Wasn't this clearly bullying and taking advantage of her? Zhao Yun chopped off more than half of the 5 taels of silver worth of goods. How big of a loss did their family have to suffer? Zhao Yun, isn't 2 taels of silver too little? I spent 5 taels of silver to buy it. Even if you go to Li Zhang's place, I'm afraid you won't be able to buy a place for 2 taels of silver. Madame Qi frowned and said to Zhao Yun. What Madame Qi said was the truth. Not only could they not buy it, even finding a mountain to grow tea leaves was more difficult. After all, some places were remote or on the higher side or because of the direction of the terrain they were not suitable. Those places required time, energy and money to develop, so it was more difficult. Instead, the barren mountain in Madame Qi's hands was the most suitable. If it wasn't because of this, Zhao Yun wouldn't have spent this time to deal with Madame Qi. With her character, she wouldn't have bought it if Madame Qi did such a thing. If you're not selling it for 2 taels, then forget it. We have nothing to discuss. Zhao Yun directly opened her mouth and said to Qi Shi. Madame Qi's face was bitter as she looked at Zhao Yun. Yun, 2 taels of silver is really too little. Why don't you add a little more? If you add a little more, I'll sell it to you. 2 taels of silver, I can't add any more. Chapter 1308. Zhao Yun sneered. When she saw Madame Chi's distressed expression, she felt happy. Madame Chi originally planned to get money from her, but she probably didn't expect that she would suffer a double loss. How delightful. She had to let these greedy people suffer. Otherwise, these people would still be like this next time. Forget it, forget it. Since you don't want to sell it for 2 taels and 5 taels, I don't want this barren mountain anymore. Zhao Yun waved her hand, looking like she didn't want to continue the discussion. Madame Chi bit her lower lip. Zhao Yun didn't want to buy it. She was afraid that if she transferred the 2 taels of silver to someone else, they wouldn't want it. After all, who wouldn't buy a barren mountain for no reason? She spent money and couldn't take care of it, so she couldn't grow food. She didn't know why Zhao Yun wanted to buy a barren mountain. Otherwise, she could learn from Zhao Yun and make something out of it. Yun you also know that the things I bought with 5 taels of silver were cut in half. It's really too much. We're all honest people, so we can't take advantage of you too much. If you really want to buy it, I'll give you 3 taels. Is that okay? Zhao Yun's eyes turned. 3 taels was really too little. This Madame Chi saved her 2 taels of silver in one go. Zhao Yun couldn't help but feel a little comfortable. However, she pretended to be in a difficult position. Sister-in-law, actually, I don't have much use for this barren mountain. It's dispensable. 3 taels of silver is a good thing. Yes. Yun, you're right. But I did spend 5 taels of silver to buy this barren mountain. You know, the price I paid was enough. You bought it, so you made a profit. All right then. 3 taels it is. This is because I'm giving face to sister-in-law Mulan. Otherwise, no matter how much you beg me, I won't buy it. Madame Chi smiled embarrassedly. Obviously, her heart was bleeding and she wanted to curse. But in front of Zhao Yun, she still had to smile and follow behind Zhao Yun to agree. Yes. Yun, I'll remember it. Later, give me 3 taels of silver and I will let you have the title deed. You just have to let Lord Li Zheng handle the procedures. Zhao Yun responded faintly. Thinking that Madame Chi had lost 2 taels of silver at once, Zhao Yun felt very happy. It wasn't easy for them to sell the barren mountain. Although they had lost a lot of money, Madame Chi finally felt relieved. After Zhao Yun finished talking, Madame Chi turned to Zhu Dainiu and explained to Zhu Dainiu. Zhu Dainiu still scolded Madame Chi. It's all because of you, stinky woman. You made me lose 2 taels of silver at once. Later, if you don't earn back those 2 taels of silver for me, you'll get it. Madame Chi curled her lips in grievance and said to Zhu Dainiu. Dainiu, how can I have the ability to earn money? The child is still young. I have to take care of the child, cook and do housework. I can't find the time. Zhu Dainiu snorted coldly. Why can't you do it? Could it be that second sister-in-law has to do less work and take care of less children than you? How come she can earn money but you can't? Speaking of this, Zhu Dainiu felt very uncomfortable in his heart. He was somewhat envious of his second brother, Zhu Eru. Chapter 1309. Now his second brother's family could live in a big house, but he still had to stay in a small thatched hut. When the villagers talked about the 2 brothers, they would definitely say that his second brother was more capable than him. How could he be balanced in his heart? Madame Chi curled her lips in grievance and said, Xiao's father, second sister-in-law is second sister-in-law. I'm not as capable as second sister-in-law. Aren't most women in the village the same? How can I make money? Madame Chi's words only sounded like an excuse to Zhu Dainiu. After a cold snort, he continued to scold Madame Chi. Okay, don't give me so many excuses. If second sister-in-law can make money, you have to make money too. Madame Chi was very embarrassed and said to Zhu Dainiu, Dainiu, it's not as simple as you say. Second sister-in-law can make money because she followed Zhao Yun. Zhao Yun has the capital to do business, but I don't have any capital. Where can I make money? Zhu Dainiu glared at Madame Chi, thinking that this woman had so many excuses. It was fine that she didn't have the ability, but she made so many excuses in front of him. Second sister-in-law, you also made a lot of money without following Zhao Yun. In the end, it's all because you don't have the ability. Zhu Dainiu snorted softly, thought for a while and said, Didn't second sister-in-law make that wicker basket and sell it to make money before? You should follow second sister-in-law and learn from her. Make some wicker baskets and sell them. Madame Chi continued to think of a way to refute Zhu Dainiu's words. Xiao's father, you can't say that. I don't know how to weave. Second sister-in-law may not teach me how to weave. I'll talk to second sister-in-law. If second sister-in-law agrees, you have to learn from her. Madame Chi responded weakly and didn't dare to object. Zhu Dainiu walked up to Mulan and looked at Mulan ingratiatingly. Second sister-in-law, can you teach your weaving skills to your sister-in-law? Mulan was a little angry about what happened just now, so she didn't want to talk to Zhu Dainiu. However, Zhu Dainiu was thick-skinned and did not want to leave. Mulan continued, second sister-in-law, don't be angry. Just teach your sister-in-law. Look at us, the people of the first branch don't have it easy. It was still okay before, but your sister-in-law lost so much money all of a sudden. If she doesn't earn some money, she probably won't be able to live on. They're old and young at home. After listening to Zhu Dainiu's complaints, Mulan's heart softened. She thought that teaching Madame Qi how to weave a wicker basket was nothing. If she taught Madame Qi how to weave a wicker basket, Madame Qi would have something to do every day. It would save Madame Qi the trouble of coming over and looking for trouble. Mulan said to Zhu Dainiu, Big brother, I can teach her, but I have to make it clear that weaving a wicker basket is not that easy. It's easy to hurt your hands. It's hard to make money by doing this. It was Madame Qi's hard work. It had nothing to do with Zhu Dainiu, so Zhu Dainiu said indifferently, it's okay. What kind of money is easy to make? That's fine. Mulan responded. Zhu Dainiu walked up to Madame Qi and greeted her. Second sister-in-law has agreed. You go back and learn. Be honest and diligent or you'll be in trouble. Madame Qi pursed her lips. I know Qiaoer's father. I will learn well. Chapter 13:10. Seeing Zhu Dainiu's attitude towards Madame Qi, Zhao Yuner could not help but sigh. A pitiful person must have a hateful side. Madame Qi was like this. People were hateful, but at the same time they had a pitiful side. For example, Madame Qi was so miserable because of Zhu Dainiu. Zhu Dainiu did not seem to care at all. Since she was his wife, shouldn't he dote on her? Why did he treat Madame Qi like this? However, this was other people's business. Zhao Yuner could not care so much. She just needed to deal with her own business. After leaving Mulan's house, they went to the mountain together to pick tea leaves. When they came back from picking tea leaves, a middle-aged man came to Zhao Yuner's house. It turned out that the deputy county magistrate sent him to inform Zhao Yuner. Many people in Yang City liked Zhao Yuner's tea leaves very much, so many people wanted to order a batch. The deputy district magistrate thoughtfully gave a list of the people who needed tea and how much tea they needed. He asked someone to give it to Zhao Yuner. This way it would be very convenient for Zhao Yuner to calculate. She could clearly know how many caddies of tea she needed. After the person who sent the message left, Zhao Yuner opened the letter and calculated. The amount of tea leaves needed was too large. She had to prepare a total of 70 to 80 kilograms of tea leaves. At present she only had 30 kilograms at most. She did not have so much tea leaves at all. However, she could not delay for too long. Otherwise, those customers would be dissatisfied. It seemed that these people who were hired to pick tea leaves in the mountain had to bring back more. Otherwise, in the current situation, the supply would not meet the demand. Zhao Yuner thought about it. There were not many people in the village who could be trusted. It was not easy to find a few reliable people. If she randomly found a few people, she was afraid that she would be targeted. Zhao Yuner frowned and thought about how to solve this problem. While Zhao Yuner was thinking, Mu Lianfeng came back from the mountain. Zhao Yuner smiled. Why are you back so early today? His Majesty is preparing to go back tomorrow. There's nothing else to do now. Zhao Yuner heaved a sigh of relief and replied, It's good that he's fine. You're always a little uncomfortable with him here. Zhao Yuner suddenly thought of what the emperor had said to a dark-skinned man on the mountain that day. She had forgotten to tell Mu Lianfeng. She hurriedly told Mu Lianfeng, there's something I forgot to tell you. Zhao Yuner repeated what the emperor had said to the black man that day. When Mu Lianfeng heard this, he frowned. After thinking for a while, he understood. So that's how it is. In the end, he was still suspicious of me. Mu Lianfeng's tone was a little disappointed. He was diligent and loyal to the emperor. Could it be that the emperor was suspicious of him because of a few words from others? Or it could be said that the emperor did not trust anyone. As an emperor, he was too suspicious. This was not a good thing. Zhao Yuner comforted him. You don't have any ulterior motives. I believe that he can see through it. It's fine. Mu Lianfeng nodded. Even if there was a problem, there was nothing he could do. He could only prove his innocence through his own actions. As long as the emperor did not make things difficult for him and Zhao Yuner on the marriage. Zhao Yuner and Mu Lianfeng went to rest early. Chapter 13:11. The food and vegetables that were previously prepared at home were almost finished. She had to cook some fresh things for Daodu and Mu Lianfeng. Zhao Yuner felt that her Xiao Mao was very excited on the way to town. For a while, Zhao Yuner didn't bring Xiao Mao out for a stroll. Xiao Mao probably felt that it wasn't of any use, so it couldn't hold back when it was at home. Seeing that Xiao Mao was running like a gust of wind, Zhao Yuner couldn't help but exhort Xiao Mao. Xiao Mao, slow down. Don't be anxious. We're not in a hurry to go to town. There's plenty of time. However, Xiao Mao didn't seem to understand Zhao Yuner's words and continued to run forward with all its might. Zhao Yuner felt a little helpless and could only let Xiao Mao run. She reckoned that Xiao Mao was like this because it hadn't been strolling for a long time. Soon she saw Xiao Mao catch up with the carriage in front of them. When the carriage driver saw that Zhao Yuner's donkey carriage was running faster than him, there was a trace of shock in his eyes. How was this possible? Could it be that his eyes were playing tricks on him? The carriage driver rubbed his eyes. He didn't see it wrongly. It was a donkey. Ah, the carriage driver couldn't help but scream. A donkey spirit, it was definitely a donkey spirit. Otherwise, how could a little donkey run faster than a horse? After hearing the carriage driver's scream, Zhao Yuner turned around, wondering what was going on. The emperor who was in the carriage also stuck his head out. The emperor asked in a somewhat cold voice, "What happened?" The carriage driver hurriedly restrained the shock in his eyes and appeared to be a little calmer. He pointed at Zhao Yuner's little donkey and said to the emperor, I saw a spirit. Young master, quickly hide in the carriage and don't come out. The emperor's brows immediately wrinkled. He looked in the direction the carriage driver pointed and actually saw Zhao Yuner. Zhao Yuner also saw the emperor. What a coincidence. They actually bumped into each other on the way. The emperor reprimanded the coachman. Demon, tell me, who is the demon? That woman was fine, so why did she suddenly say that? The coachman hurriedly explained, Young master, you've misunderstood. I'm not talking about that woman, I'm talking about that donkey. Look, where can you see a donkey that runs faster than a horse? Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. It was like a gust of wind when it ran. If it wasn't a spirit, then what was it? In my opinion, he is a donkey demon. That woman raised a donkey spirit. I don't think she's a simple character. The corners of the emperor's mouth twitched. He didn't know what to say. Then he turned his attention to Zhao Yuner's Xiao Mao. However, he agreed with the coachman's last sentence. Zhao Yuner was indeed not a simple woman. She was the most special woman he had ever seen. As for Zhao Yuner's donkey demon, it was indeed very fast. He had seen many rare treasures over the years, but he had never seen such a donkey. Thus he replied to the coachman, It's indeed not simple. But a spirit shouldn't be. The emperor was very clear in his heart. Although Zhao Yuner was different, she was still a normal person in the end. Zhao Yuner hurriedly pulled Xiao Mao and said to Xiao Mao, wait. I met an acquaintance. Say hello to him. Chapter 13:12. The emperor greeted Zhao Yuner. Yuner, what a coincidence. Zhao Yuner nodded. Yes, what a coincidence. Is young Master Huang going back today as well? Yes. Are you going to the county magistrate's residence or going home? Zhao Yuner asked. I'm going to the county magistrate's residence first to bid farewell to the county magistrate before going home. Zhao Yuner was silent for a moment. Since young Master Huang said he was going home, he was probably going back to the palace. She didn't know if he was going to deal with Mu Lianfeng's betrothal. Zhao Yuner smiled and said to young Master Huang, I'm also going to the county magistrate's residence. If I had known earlier, I would have accompanied young Master Huang. At least, I have someone to talk to on the way and I won't be too lonely. Zhao Yuner was just being polite. After all, she had to maintain a good relationship with young Master Huang. If she wanted to be with Mu Lianfeng in the future, she might have to rely on the emperor. The emperor chuckled and said, If I knew that Miss Yuner was going to the county magistrate's residence today, I would naturally accompany Miss Yuner. But since we met on the way, it's a coincidence. The two of us can accompany each other and chat for the rest of the journey. As the emperor spoke, he got down from the carriage and directly sat on Zhao Yuner's donkey cart. Zhao Yuner was slightly stunned. She couldn't help but ask the emperor, Your Majesty, are you sure this is okay? Miss Yuner, what do you think is wrong? Zhao Yuner swallowed her saliva. The emperor was the emperor. He was second only to one person and above thousands of people. With such a noble status, how could he sit in a donkey cart? At least he should sit in a carriage, right? Yes, my family's donkey cart is too simple and crude. It's more comfortable for you to sit in a carriage. Otherwise the journey might be a little bumpy and your butt will hurt. Zhao Yuner spoke out her worries. The emperor didn't mind and came back. So what? Since Miss Yuner can sit here, I can sit here too. Zhao Yuner replied helplessly. All right, all right, all right. Since she wanted to sit, he didn't think much of it, so he couldn't stop her. Thus, she allowed the emperor to continue sitting on her donkey cart. The emperor's lips curled up slightly as he joked with Zhao Yuner. This young master feels that Miss Yuner's donkey is very special. I don't know how it feels to sit on it, so I came over to give it a try. Xiao Mao seemed to understand the emperor's words and proudly raised its neck. If he was a human, he would definitely tell the emperor that it was a given. At least he had good taste. Otherwise, he wouldn't be willing to pull a stranger. The coachman sighed. Young master is right. I've traveled extensively for so many years, but I've never seen such a special donkey. Zhao Yuner pursed her lips. What could she say? She couldn't explain it either. Her family Xiao Mao was so amazing that she didn't even understand it herself. She laughed embarrassedly. Yes. My family's donkey is indeed a little special, but it's nothing much. There are many strange things in this world. The emperor thought about it and felt that it was true. There were many things that people had never seen before. The world was so big that there were all kinds of strange things. He was a knowledgeable person, so he wasn't too shocked by Zhao Yuner's donkey. Zhao Yuner called out to the emperor, Young Master Huang, sit tight. We have to set off. Okay. Chapter 13:13. Zhao Yuner was afraid that the donkey cart would be too bumpy, so she warned Xiao Mao. Xiao Mao, don't be anxious. Let's take it slow. However, Xiao Mao acted as if it didn't understand Zhao Yuner's words. It continued to run with all its might, but it wanted to show off its uniqueness in front of the emperor. If Zhao Yuner knew what Xiao Mao was thinking, she would probably be angered half to death by Xiao Mao. Zhao Yuner's donkey cart didn't have a soft mattress, so her buttocks had to sit on the hard cart. After a bumpy day, it hurt a lot. Zhao Yuner herself couldn't stand it, let alone the emperor, who lived like a prince. Presumably, he hadn't been treated like this for so many years. She looked at the emperor with some embarrassment and said, Young Master Huang, I don't know if you're feeling too uncomfortable? Why don't you get down first and wait for your carriage behind? The emperor frowned slightly. His buttocks were indeed feeling uncomfortable, but if he got down, wouldn't he lose face? Zhao Yuner, a woman, could endure such a bumpy ride. As a man, he couldn't be too delicate. So when Zhao Yuner came back, she said, No need. Miss Yuner, I'll take your donkey cart. It's actually quite good. Without a carriage, he could enjoy the scenery of the fields. The morning breeze blew on his face and it was very comfortable. Moreover, there was a faint smell of soil and fragrant grass in the breeze. He didn't notice it before, but now he suddenly realized that this feeling and scenery were quite good. Thinking about the high walls and courtyards in the imperial palace, how could it be as comfortable as the countryside? If it wasn't for his identity as well as the responsibility and ambition he had to bear, he felt that an ordinary life would be quite good. If he married a wife as virtuous and sensible as Zhao Yuner, his family would probably be able to live a peaceful and beautiful life. Unfortunately, these were just his own thoughts and couldn't be realized. Zhao Yuner responded hypocritically, but there was still some worry in her eyes when she looked at the emperor. She was afraid that by the time they arrived at the county magistrate's manor, the emperor's buttocks had already bloomed. The two people chatted casually on the road. The emperor was very curious about everything about Zhao Yuner. He asked some questions with a hint of probing. The more he knew about Zhao Yuner, the more he felt that this woman was not simple. She was not like a normal countrywoman at all. If she hadn't inquired about Zhao Yuner in the village, it was inevitable that she would have some doubts about her identity. After a long journey, they finally arrived at the county magistrate's residence. The emperor prepared to get down from Zhao Yuner's donkey cart, but sadly found that his butt seemed to be unable to move. If he moved, it would hurt terribly. Young Master Huang, what's wrong? Zhao Yuner asked worriedly. The emperor looked at Zhao Yuner awkwardly. What could he say? He couldn't possibly tell Zhao Yuner that his butt hurt, right? He couldn't help but blush. In all these years, he had never done something so embarrassing and shameful. If this spread out and was known by others, where would he put his face? Zhao Yuner saw that there was something wrong with the emperor's expression, so she almost guessed what was going on. Young Master Huang, do you want me to help you, or you can sit down and rest for a while? I'll rest for a while. Okay, then I'll wait outside with you. We'll go in together later. Zhao Yuner went back to the donkey cart. Chapter 13:14. Zhao Yuner looked at the emperor in confusion. Wouldn't it be better for him to accompany him? Otherwise, wouldn't it be awkward for him to sit outside alone? Would it be strange? Monsieur, I can do it alone. Young Master Huang insisted. Zhao Yun'er had no choice but to agree. All right then, I'll go in alone. I'll come out in a while. She didn't want to stay in the deputy's house for long. She had to go back quickly and continue to pick tea leaves. After seeing Zhao Yun'er's body enter the county magistrate mansion, the emperor hurriedly stood up and rubbed his painful buttocks. He suddenly felt the pain dissipate a little. Sometimes people shouldn't court death, or they would be the one to suffer. Zhao Yun'er gave the tea leaves she brought to the deputy. She would try her best to send the rest. As for the money, the delivery person had already given it to the deputy, and the deputy directly gave it to Zhao Yun'er. With more than 10 taels of silver, Zhao Yun'er couldn't help but feel excited. It was much easier than the money she earned from the morning tea stall. He thought that once he filled the barren hills with tea trees and obtained more tea leaves, he would be able to earn even more money. After saying that she had something to do, the deputy's wife didn't ask Zhao Yun'er to stay. She let Zhao Yun'er go back. After leaving the deputy's house, Zhao Yun'er saw that the emperor had gotten out of the carriage. He was standing beside her Xiaomao and muttering something. She didn't know what he was saying to Xiaomao. Seeing Zhao Yun'er coming over, the emperor quickly shut up. Young Master Huang, are you feeling better? Much better. I'm fine now. Oh, you can go in. I'll go back first. Okay. The emperor withdrew his sight from Zhao Yun'er. Don't know what he was thinking. He stood in the same place for a while, then turned and entered the county deputy manor. Zhao Yun'er hurried to the market and bought everything she needed. When they went to the market, they happened to meet Zhao Ping'er and Ma Xiaofeng. The two of them seemed to be looking for a stall and wanted to rent a stall to do business. Zhao Yun'er was puzzled. Could it be that these two sluts wanted to learn from her? The truth was similar to what Zhao Yun'er had expected. Zhao Ping'er and Ma Xiaofeng came here to do business. In the past 2 days, Zhao Ping'er had searched around Yang City and roughly confirmed a few houses. She felt that it was okay to rent them. However, Zhao Ping'er still didn't know much about these things. She felt that Ma Xiaofeng was more reliable than her, so she brought Ma Xiaofeng over to take a look. If Ma Xiaofeng said it was okay, then it was okay. Moreover, Ma Xiaofeng's ability to negotiate prices was definitely better than her. He followed Ma Xiaofeng and listened to Ma Xiaofeng's arrangements. The two of them went to a stall in the market and asked about the price. This stall was originally for someone else to do business. If it wasn't for the breakfast business, then it would have been for the breakfast business. Now that the stall wanted to be sold, it hung a sign saying for sale. Ma Xiaofeng and Zhao Ping'er went to find it because of this. Auntie, how much do you need to rent this stall a year? Ma Xiaofeng asked a woman who looked to be in her early 30s. This woman was very fat. Her body was full of fat and she looked very fierce standing there. However, she should be from a good family. She dressed gorgeously. The cloth of her clothes was not bad and she wore silver jewelry. In the eyes of the villagers, this was a very rich family. Chapter 13-15. She replied to Ma Xiaofeng unhappily, Auntie, who are you calling? Where's Auntie? Are you blind? She was only 27 or 28 years old and looked a little old. What she hated the most was hearing people call her Auntie. Ma Xiaofeng looked 16 or 17 years old, but she was only 10 years older than this girl. How could it be appropriate for her to start calling her Auntie? Ma Xiaofeng was momentarily stunned. She did not understand why the fat woman was angry. Ma Xiaofeng stuttered. When she met the fat woman's fierce eyes, she did not know what to say for a moment. Little girl, next time look carefully. Don't just call everyone Auntie. It's more appropriate to call her big sister. Ma Xiaofeng rolled her eyes in her heart. Only then did she understand why the fat woman was angry. Although Ma Xiaofeng was also somewhat uncomfortable in her heart, in order to rent the stall, Ma Xiaofeng suppressed the anger in her heart. Instead, she smiled and said to the fat woman, Big sister, may I ask, how much does it cost to rent this stall a year? The fat woman's mood improved a little. She faintly replied to Ma Xiaofeng, the first year you take over the stall will be 8 taels of silver. After that, it will be 1 tael of silver every year. What? Do you want to rent it? When Ma Xiaofeng heard the fat woman's price, she felt that it was a little expensive. However, this stall's market was not bad. There were many people coming and going, so it was convenient to buy things. If she could rent it, the business would not be too bad. Ma Xiaofeng haggled with the fat woman, Big sister, I want to rent this stall. But your stall seems to be a little expensive. Can you give us a cheaper price? The fat woman glared at Ma Xiaofeng. She seemed very unhappy. Then how cheap do you want it to be? You can go to other stalls and ask around. How many stalls are in a good market that is cheaper than mine? Ma Xiaofeng twitched the corner of her mouth and replied with a smile, Big sister. It's our first time doing business. It's not easy. Why don't you give us a friendship price and make it cheaper? Ma Xiaofeng's tone was completely negotiating. The fat woman replied in a bad mood, If you don't want to rent it, then don't rent it. Hurry and get lost. How can you do business if you don't have money? Ma Xiaofeng was stunned. She did not expect the fat woman to have such a bad temper. When Zhao Pinger heard this, she wasn't happy. She started arguing with the fat woman. How can there be people like you? Business talk, business talk, business talk. Why are you scolding people? The fat woman put her hands on her waist and started to argue with Zhao Pinger. Who is scolding? Did I say I wrong? You want to rent a stall when you don't have the money? I've already lowered the price to the lowest. You're shameless enough to want to lower the price. Zhao Pinger stared at the fat woman angrily. This woman was too arrogant. How can there be people like you? Aren't we negotiating the price in a friendly manner? I'm not forcing you to lower the price. You can just not rent it. Why are you scolding people? The fat woman sneered. I'm scolding people. So what? You're standing in front of my stall. I can scold you. Zhao Pinger wanted to rush up and slap the fat woman. However, the fat woman was tall and burly. Even Zhao Pinger could not beat her. If they really fought, she would be at a disadvantage. Forget it, big sister Pinger. Let's go to other stalls and ask. Ma Xiaofeng pulled Zhao Pinger. Chapter 13:16. She nodded and said, Okay Xiaofeng, let's rent from other stalls. There are so many stalls, it's not like she's the only one. With her attitude, it's no wonder that her stall hasn't been rented out yet. I don't think anyone will rent from her. Ma Xiaofeng also agreed. Although the price of this fat woman's stall was suitable, she wasn't a good person. Who knew if other things would happen after her stall was rented? This kind of person was rare, so it was better to deal with them. The two of them then went to the other stalls to ask for more information. Basically, the prices they offered were higher than the fat woman's stall, and some of them were not very good. After running for a while, the two of them were a little tired and took a deep breath. Zhao Pinger and Ma Xiaofeng sighed and said, Xiaofeng, it seems that doing business isn't easy. Of course, what's easy to do? Look at the men in our village. They work so hard in the fields, but they only earn so much money in a year. It's not as good as us who do business. We can earn more. Xiaofeng, you're right. As long as we can earn money, it's worth it to work hard. Yes. Sister Pinger, let's go to a few more stalls. If there's no better one, let's go and book that old woman's stall. Okay. The two of them continued to run around and settled on a stall. The rent for this stall was 5 taels of silver for the first year and 5 taels of silver for the next year. It was considered relatively low. Moreover, the market price wasn't too bad. It was above average. Zhao Pinger and Ma Xiaofeng were quite satisfied. The two of them couldn't wait to set up their stall and earn money as soon as possible. Only when they had money in their hands would they be happiest. Moreover, these few days the family Qin people had been urging Zhao Pinger to bring some money back. The family Qin people were used to living a hard life. When Zhao Pinger said that they could earn money, it gave the family Qin hope. The family Qin people were thinking about money and living a good life these days. As for Qin Yuan's illness, it had improved a lot during this period. Basically, it was no longer a big deal. At the end of the day, it was all because his heart had been resolved. However, Zhao Pinger felt sorry for Qin Yuan. She also wanted to earn more money to buy a lot of delicious food for Qin Yuan to nourish his body. Xiaofeng, let's go and buy some more tables and chairs. When the tables and chairs are bought, we can set up a stall to make money. Ma Xiaofeng nodded heavily and replied, Sister Pinger, we'll have a good life once we make money. Ma Xiaofeng now thought it through. If she couldn't be with Zhao Tianan, she could earn money and live a good life. She didn't have to rely on men. The more they talked, the more excited they became as they walked down the street. After Zhao Yuner figured out what the two of them were doing, her eyes couldn't help but flash a trace of sharpness. These 2B** cheese are really interesting. Zhao Pinger actually wanted to imitate her and sell breakfast. She was said to be stupid, but sometimes she was very smart. She actually knew how to imitate her. Zhao Yuner didn't want the B**tch to use her to make money, and her heart felt uncomfortable. However, she couldn't stop them from setting up a stall. She couldn't possibly smash the stall, right? Feeling a little uncomfortable, she went back. When she arrived at the village, it was only 10 o'clock in the morning. It wasn't very late. Zhao Yun'er went to old Zhao's house and sent the ingredients she bought over. She was going to cook something delicious for lunch. There wasn't much meat in their meals these days because they didn't buy meat on the streets. They just made do casually. Chapter 13-17. When Zhao Yun'er arrived at old Zhao's house, she saw a carriage parked in the courtyard of old Zhao's house. She thought that some important person had come, but she did not expect that it was Zhao Xinhui who had come back to visit her parents. Under normal circumstances in the countryside, a daughter would visit her parents on the second or third day. However, Zhao Xinhui did not know how many days had passed since she came back. Zhao Yun'er guessed that Zhao Xinhui was too lazy to come back. After all, life in the Ming residence was much more comfortable than in old Zhao's house. When Zhao Xinhui came back, she was wearing a purplish-red silk dress. She wore all kinds of jewelry on her neck, hands and head. She looked like a nouveau riche. When Zhao Yun'er saw Zhao Xinhui's dressing, she could not help but want to complain. This Zhao Xinhui looked like a nouveau riche. People were like this. The more ordinary they were, the more they wanted to show off. Those real madams and misses did not need to dress like Zhao Xinhui. When Zhao Xinhui came back, she brought a lot of good things. Old Zhao's first branch and second branch could not help but go forward to curry favor with Zhao Xinhui, as if they wanted to get some benefits from her. Hui, you're finally back. Mother missed you so much. Hua Chunhua held Zhao Xinhui's hand and could not help but mutter. What are you thinking about, mother? I've only been away for a few days. Zhao Xinhui replied indifferently. Hua Chunhua nagged, Hui, you're a piece of flesh that fell off from mother. Mother missed you so much even if you were away for a few days. All right, mother, let's not talk about this anymore. There's no use in missing me. Hui, how are you doing after marrying young Master Meng? Hua Chunhua asked with concern. She was most worried about this matter. After all, as a mother, she missed her daughter dearly. She was afraid that her daughter would be wronged after getting married. Good, of course it's good. Mother, my husband's family is rich. He eats and drinks good food every day, wears beautiful clothes and has beautiful jewelry. Mother, look at my appearance. How can ordinary people have it? If I knew that I could have such a good life after getting married, I would have wanted to get married earlier. Zhao Xinhui was not afraid of losing face and said directly. Hua Chunhua nodded in satisfaction. It's good that you're living well. Indeed, if you were to marry a country bumpkin, how could you have a good life? In the end, it's my Huiyer's good fortune. He has received the blessings of the heavens. Of course, I've always been a lucky person. Zhao Xinhui replied with a proud smile. By the way, Hui, young Master Meng, don't you have other wives and concubines at home? How does your wife treat you? After all, the older ones could not tolerate the younger ones. After Zhao Xinhui married into the family, who knew if the wife of the Meng family would make things difficult for Zhao Xinhui? Speaking of this, Zhao Xinhui snorted and said, How could that old woman make things difficult for me? It's good enough that I didn't marry him. Mother, don't worry. My husband dotes on me now. He doesn't even care about those old women. He's probably tired of playing with them. Perhaps after some time, my husband will divorce them and let me become the official wife. Hua Chunhua was immediately happy when she heard this. A wife and a concubine were very different. A wife of a rich family would be respected. The villagers did not say it openly, but secretly, they were talking about Zhao Xinhui as a concubine. Hua Chunhua directly thought that these people were jealous of her family and did not take it to heart. Chapter 13-18. Hua Chunhua nodded and said with a smile, Good. You have to work hard and become the official wife. When the time comes, there will be many people who will be envious of our family. They will envy you. Mother, don't worry. I'm so young and beautiful. How can I lose to a few old women? They are chickens that can't lay eggs. When I give birth to a son for my husband, I will naturally become the official wife. Hua Chunhua became more and more excited. She held Zhao Xinhui's hand and said, Hui, then your belly must work hard. You are still young, so it will definitely be easier for you to get pregnant than them. The heavens did not allow them to have children, so they are giving you a chance to become the official wife. I think it won't be long before you get pregnant. When Zhao Xinhui heard this, she blinked and looked at Hua Chunhua with excitement. Mother, is what you said true? Of course it's true. Believe me, if you take good care of your body now, you will get pregnant very soon. Yes. When Zhao Yuner heard this, she felt that Zhao Xinhui was just a mistress. She had an ugly face. If Zhao Xinhui really became the official wife one day, her worldview would probably be refreshed again. Isn't little sister back? Li Chuanying was holding a wooden basin in her hand. She must have come back from washing clothes outside. When she saw Zhao Xinhui, her eyes immediately lit up. When she saw Zhao Xinhui dressed in jewelry, she could not help but sigh and envy in her heart. She quickly flattered, "Tisk tsk tsk. Who would recognize you if you didn't know? Little sister feels like she has changed into a different person. After getting married, you indeed look much better when you dress up. Look at the clothes you are wearing, you look like a young lady from a wealthy family." Although Zhao Xinhui did not like Li Chuanying, people generally liked to listen to others' praise. Therefore, Li Chuanying's words were very effective on Zhao Xinhui. "Second sister-in-law, sit down. Let's chat. It's not easy for me to return home." How could Li Chuanying refuse? He smiled and sat down beside Zhao Xinhui. While praising Zhao Xinhui, she also flattered Huo Chunhua. "Mother, only you have the good fortune to give birth to a woman like little sister. Who in our family can be like little sister? You didn't dote on little sister for nothing in the past. Little sister should be raised well because little sister is destined to be rich." "That's right. Your little sister was different from other children when she was born. I already knew that she would be extraordinary in the future." Huo Chunhua snorted softly. "Mother, that means you have good foresight." Huo Chunhua felt very comfortable when she heard that. She thought that her second daughter-in-law was indeed better at speaking than the other daughters-in-law. Li Chuanying glanced at Zhao Xinhui's jewelry and sighed. Not to mention other things, Zhao Xinhui was actually wearing 7 to 8 bracelets on one hand. There were gold, silver, jade-colored glaze. All of them were very beautiful and exquisite. Li Chuanying stared at Zhao Xinhui's bracelets. After looking at them for a while, he said to Zhao Xinhui, "Little sister, you have so many bracelets. They are so beautiful. It's good enough for an ordinary person to have one. You have more than 10 bracelets on both hands, right?" Zhao Xinhui raised her hand and waved it. When she saw the bracelets on her hand, she was very satisfied and said proudly, "These were all given to me by my husband. There are many more at home. I only wear these out." Chapter 13-19. Zhao Xinhui raised her chin and said, This is nothing. There are more and better things. Second sister-in-law, you haven't seen them before, so you don't know what good things are like in the city." Li Chuanying smiled embarrassedly and followed behind Zhao Xinhui. Yes, you're right. You use a lot of things. Second sister-in-law is ignorant and doesn't know what good things are." Zhao Xinhui grunted in agreement. Li Chuanying stared at Zhao Xinhui's bracelet again and looked at Zhao Xinhui ingratiatingly. "Little sister, your bracelets are so pretty. Can you take one of them off and let second sister-in-law have a closer look?" Zhao Xinhui was not stingy about this. She replied, "Of course." As she spoke, she took off a glazed bracelet and handed it to Li Chuanying. Li Chuanying touched it in his hand and looked at it with wide eyes. He sighed as he looked at it. "It's so pretty. Rich people's things are just different. It feels different just by looking at them." Zhao Xinhui glanced at Li Chuanying and looked at Li Chuanying as if he was a country bumpkin. She felt that Li Chuanying was ignorant. Li Chuanying held Zhao Xinhui's bracelet in his hand and couldn't bear to put it down. After touching it for a while, he smiled at Zhao Xinhui and said, "Little sister, can I hold your bracelet and try it on? It looks so pretty. Can I put it on and try it on?" Before Zhao Xinhui could say anything, Li Chuanying retorted unhappily, "It's good enough that I'm letting you see it. You still want to wear it." After being scolded by Huo Chunhua, Li Chuanying pursed his lips and was about to return the bracelet to Zhao Xinhui. However, he unexpectedly said to Zhao Xinhui, "Second sister-in-law, since you like it so much, I'll give it to you. It should look good on you." Zhao Xinhui was willing to give it away because she had too many things. It was nothing to give one away. Moreover, young Master Meng would continue to give it to her. Li Chuanying's words were pleasing to the ears. She liked it, so it was fine to give one to her. She would treat it as a reward for flattering Li Chuanying. Her second sister-in-law would definitely be more attentive to her in the future. Li Chuanying, she thought that he had heard it. He asked, "Little sister, are you joking? Are you really giving it to me? This is a treasure." Zhao Xinhui nodded in agreement. "Second sister-in-law, I said I'm giving it to you, so I'm giving it to you. Don't tell me I'm lying to you?" When Li Chuanying heard this, he was overjoyed. He pulled Zhao Xinhui aside and praised her, "Little sister, you're so nice. Now that you're rich, you still take care of your brothers and sisters-in-law. The Zhao family is so lucky to have a girl like you. Zhao Xinhui was also very happy to be praised. He replied faintly to Li Chuiying, "Of course, sister-in-law. We're family. Do you think I'm like some people who forget about our family when they're rich?" Zhao Xinhui was referring to Zhao Ping'er. When Zhao Ping'er was rich, she didn't care about old Zhao's family. She didn't care about old Zhao's family at all. She ate well and drank well, while old Zhao's family continued to live a hard life. Li Chuiying smiled and replied, "Yes, yes, yes. Little sister, you're still different from the average person." Zhao Ping'er replied faintly, "Of course." When Feng Zhangxiao from the first branch saw that Li Chuiying had gained some benefits, she had an idea. She wanted to go over and flatter Li Chuiying to gain some benefits, but Xun Pan stopped her. Chapter 13:20. Feng Zhangxiao looked at Xun Pan'er in confusion and asked, "Why? Mother, if she's trying to flatter you, you shouldn't follow her. If little aunt doesn't give you anything, won't you be embarrassed? I don't think that's good." Xun Pan'er frowned. In fact, what she couldn't stand the most was the greedy villagers who hoped to gain benefits from others. Zhao Xinhui gave her the feeling of a nouveau riche. She didn't like to see Zhao Xinhui acting all high and mighty and thinking that she was someone important. However, Feng Zhangxia didn't mind and replied, So what? I'm just saying a few words. If she doesn't give it to me, then forget it. If she does, then we'll benefit. I'm going." Seeing that she couldn't stop Feng Zhangxia, Xun Pan'er could only let her go. Feng Zhangxia also went to Zhao Xinhui and started to flatter her. "Oh, little sister is back. You're dressed up so well today. You look like a different person. Look at your clothes and jewelry. They're so beautiful." Zhao Xinhui was in a good mood as she responded. She gave the bracelet to her second sister-in-law, but she couldn't give it to her eldest sister-in-law. Thus, she took off a jade bracelet from her wrist and handed it to Feng Zhangxia. Feng Zhangxia didn't expect Zhao Xinhui to be so straightforward and was overjoyed. "Little sister, you're so nice. You're so generous." Li Chuiying glanced at Feng Zhangxia unhappily. She felt that Feng Zhangxia was taking advantage of her. Her eldest sister-in-law liked to follow others. It was so disgusting. After receiving the bracelet, Feng Zhangxia quickly put it in her arms and then said to Zhao Xinhui with a smile, "Little aunt, why don't you have lunch at my place? I'll go and cook something for you now." Li Chuiying didn't want to be left behind and said, "Little sister, come to my place to eat. I'll cook something good for you too. It's rare for you to come back, so don't reject me." "Second sister-in-law, we have a first-come, first-served rule. Since I said it first, little sister naturally has to eat at my place. I'll go to your place next time when I come back. Sister-in-law, it's my turn to cook first today. How long will little sister have to wait for your family to finish cooking?" Li Chuiying and Feng Zhangxia started arguing. Both of them wanted to drag Zhao Xinhui to their house to eat. It wasn't that the two of them treated Zhao Xinhui very well, but they knew that whoever ate with Zhao Xinhui would definitely be closer to that person. Then, he would be able to give benefits to that person. If he could give away such a precious bracelet so easily, who knew if he would have something even better? How much could a meal cost? The gifts given by Zhao Xinhui were the real treasures. Zhao Xinhui calmly replied to their argument, "Eldest sister-in-law, second sister-in-law, what are you arguing about? I'm not going to any of your houses. I'm leaving soon." Hearing that Zhao Xinhui was going to leave in a while, Hua Chunhua couldn't stay calm. She asked Zhao Xinhui, You just came back and you're leaving already?" Zhao Xinhui made a sound of acknowledgement. "Can't you have a meal before you leave?" Hua Chunhua was a little reluctant. Her daughter was getting married and going to another family. She missed her dearly. "No, there's nothing good to eat at home. The good food doesn't taste good. It can't compare to the Meng families. It's better for me to go back. There's a lot of good food there." Chapter 13:21. Zhao Ping'er snorted, "Mother, how many years have you been looking at it? Haven't you seen enough? Most people would be sick of it." "Ah, you child, which mother would be sick of looking at their own child? You'll understand when you have your own child." Zhao Xinhui pursed her lips. He couldn't understand. Other people were other people. Anyway, she hadn't given birth to a child yet. Feng Zhangxia chimed in from the side, "That's right, little sister. Let's make do with lunch at home. It's so rare for you to come back. As sisters-in-law, we miss you so much." "I said I'm not eating, so I'm not eating." Why should I make do with good food when there's good food? I'll come back when I have time. It's not like I'm dead and can't see it anymore. Zhao Xinhui replied very willfully. Hua Chunhua really didn't know what to do with her daughter, so she could only let Zhao Xinhui do as she pleased. Seeing that Zhao Xinhui wanted to go back, Feng Zhangxia didn't urge her to stay. Instead, she happily held the jade bracelet Zhao Xinhui gave her and walked over to Shin Panner. She said to Shin Panner, "Look, Panner girl, your aunt really gave you a bracelet. Look, it's so pretty. It's even prettier than a gold bracelet." Shin Panner saw Feng Zhangxia's somewhat snobbish manner and felt a little unhappy. The corners of her mouth twitched and she agreed, "Yes, it's pretty. A jade bracelet isn't cheaper than a gold bracelet. It's a rare item." Feng Zhangxia was only a woman from the countryside, so she didn't recognize such expensive things. She only knew that Zhao Xinhui's bracelet definitely wouldn't be too shabby. When Shin Panner said this, she knew that it was a treasure and her heart was filled with joy. "Panner, it's not appropriate for mother to wear such an expensive bracelet. Here, you wear this bracelet. Mother will give it to you." As she spoke, Feng Zhangxia stuffed the bracelet into Shin Panner's hands. Shin Panner didn't expect Feng Zhangxia to give the bracelet to her. "Mother? Hee Panner, wear it. It looks good on you. Mother's working hands don't look good with them." Shin Panner suddenly felt a little touched. She put it on and said to Feng Zhangxia, "Thank you, mother." Feng Zhangxia smiled kindly. "What are you thanking me for? Your mother's daughter-in-law. It's normal for her to give you anything good. Mother only has 2 sons and no daughter. Don't I treat you like my own daughter?" Shin Panner nodded. She suddenly felt lucky that she had met such a good mother-in-law and not some evil mother-in-law. This was the good thing about marrying into a poor family. If she were to marry into a well-matched family, who knew if she would be targeted by her mother-in-law after going overboard? If her mother-in-law made things difficult for her, her life would not be easy. In the past few years, Feng Zhangxia had never given her a hard time. She was very good to her, and Shin Panner remembered this in her heart. "Mother, you're the best. You child. Why are you still talking about this? Go and rest in the house. Mother is going to wash Yang Yang's pants." Shin Panner responded, "Okay, mother, go ahead." After Zhao Yun finished joining in the fun, she left the things she bought in Sun City with Third Son's wife. Zhao Yun thought that Liang Jinxiao didn't understand the situation, so she asked Liang Jinxiao, "Mother, I ran into Sister Ping in Sun City today. Guess what Sister Ping wanted to do?" "What did you want to do with Sister Ping?" Chapter 1322. Liang Jinxiao replied a little guiltily, "Pinger wants to do business? That's good. At least it's a proper business. Who knows, we might be able to earn some money." However, Zhao Yun snorted softly. Zhao Ping had mentioned it before. She didn't expect that she would continue to do it even after so many years. That idiot. If she really wanted to do it, she could have done it alone. Why did she have to bring Ma Xiaofeng along and let others take advantage of her? Sure, a person like Zhao Ping was so stupid that she probably wouldn't listen to what others said. It's good that they can earn money. If they can't earn money, it's all for naught. It's not easy for them to do things like this without planning anything well. Not to mention other things, just buying breakfast at the stall and preparing those things every day was not an easy task. The breakfast made by them might not necessarily be delicious. Her breakfast stall's business was good because her food had a unique taste that most people liked. Otherwise, ordinary stalls wouldn't be able to earn much money. If they didn't manage it well, they might suffer a loss. They had to transport so many things every day. Other than renting the stall, they had to prepare a donkey cart. This would be another expense. Where did Zhao Ping'er and Ma Xiaofeng get so much money? Zhao Yun'er then told Liang Jinxiao about her doubts. "Mother, where did Sister Ping'er get the money to set up the breakfast stall?" At the mention of this, Liang Jinxiao's heart tightened. He didn't dare to tell Zhao Yun'er the truth. He pursed his lips and said to Zhao Yun'er, "I think I heard Ping'er mention it before. She said that her in-laws also want to earn money and don't want to live a hard life, so they agreed to use the dowry she brought over to do business." "Is that so?" Zhao Yun'er was puzzled. When did the family Qin's people become so willing to trust Zhao Ping'er so much? However, on second thought, it wasn't impossible for the family Qin's people to agree because of the profit motive. Liang Jinxiao's palms were covered in a layer of cold sweat. His smile was a little stiff as he said, "Since Ping'er said so, it should be true. Then it'd be best if Sister Ping'er can earn money. She can't." She reckoned that the family Qin's people would make her suffer. Liang Jinxiao replied, Yes, I hope Sister Pinger's people can earn money. Her in-laws' family Chin's family. It's not easy. She's only a few days after she got married. Zhao Yuner saw that Liang Jinxiao was worried about Zhao Pinger's situation and couldn't help but sigh. To Liang. After putting down the things, Zhao Yuner went back. She hadn't been busy at home for long when she saw a carriage rushing over and stopping in front of her house. Zhao Yuner looked up and wondered who had come to her house. After looking, she saw a woman in red walking down from the carriage. She was wearing a red dress. She was very ostentatious and eye-catching. The woman was also dressed beautifully. She wore beautiful jewelry on her head. Her hair was made of gold like a phoenix, and her long black hair was scattered behind her shoulders. The person who came was none other than Murong Xue Shuang. Standing in front of Murong Xue, Zhao Yuner felt the gap between them. She was just an ordinary peasant woman in the countryside, while Murong Xue Shuang was a noble princess. Why was she here? Zhao Yuner couldn't figure it out. Murong Xue Shuang also saw Zhao Yuner. She walked straight towards Zhao Yuner. Chapter 13:23. Zhao Yuner looked at the spilled water and clothes on the ground, and a chill suddenly rose in her eyes. She scolded Murong Shuang, "Are you crazy?" Murong Shuang did not know what crazy meant. She just saw that Zhao Yuner's attitude was a little bad, so she scolded Zhao Yuner coldly, who told you to seduce people? Where's my cousin? The cousin that Murong Shuang mentioned was Mu Lianfeng, and Zhao Yuner knew this. Zhao Yuner then understood that Murong Shuang came to her because of Mu Lianfeng. Looking at Murong Shuang's overbearing attitude, Zhao Yuner felt very uncomfortable. She replied coldly to Murong Shuang, "You called me a B***, do you think I'll tell you?" Zhao Yuner did not know the purpose of Murong Shuang's visit this time. Based on the current situation, Murong Shuang obviously had a feeling that she did not come with good intentions. Zhao Yuner's words and attitude angered Murong Shuang even more. Murong Shuang was flustered and exasperated as she continued to scold Zhao Yuner, "B***, how dare you talk back? See how I'll deal with you." Murong Shuang usually relied on her status and was used to being arrogant and barbaric. No matter who it was, she did not pay attention to anyone. She thought that if she taught Zhao Yuner a lesson, Zhao Yuner would have to bear it and not resist. However, to Murong Shuang's disappointment, her tyrannical and overbearing attitude did not have much effect on Zhao Yuner. Although Murong Shuang's status was not something that ordinary people could afford to offend, she could not just come and deal with her for no reason. It was really too much. Murong Shuang's face was about to slap Zhao Yuner's face, but before she could touch Zhao Yuner's face, a small figure ran over and stood in front of Murong Shuang. "Don't hurt my mother." Daodu opened his arms to protect Zhao Yuner, and said to Murong Shuang angrily. Murong Shuang lowered her head to look at Daodu and snorted coldly, "B***, gave birth to a B***, get out of my way." Murong Shuang did not care that Daodu was just a child and still wanted to attack Daodu. Just as Murong Shuang was about to attack Lil P, a cold voice was heard. "Stop." Murong Shuang stopped in her tracks. She turned around to look at Mu Lianfeng and said, "Cousin?" Mu Lianfeng's face was gloomy and he was unusually angry. The thing that he could not tolerate the most was others hurting Zhao Yuner and Daodu. This was his bottom line. Now that Murong Shuang was attacking these two people at the same time, even if Murong Shuang was his cousin, Mu Lianfeng still could not control his anger. He walked up to Murong Shuang and slapped her hard on the face. Murong Shuang was stunned. She did not expect Mu Lianfeng to hit her. She had never been hit by anyone in her life. Even in her own family she was treated like a treasure. Her parents spoiled her very much, and she had never been treated so sullenly. Murong Shuang covered her face and cried to Mu Lianfeng, "Cousin? You hit me. You hit me for AB** and B***. Sup? Cousin, you've gone too far." Chapter 13:24. Murong Shuang was frightened by Mu Lianfeng's fierce eyes and cold voice. She was wondering why Mu Lianfeng was so repulsed by her. Even though they were married, he still hid outside and refused to see her. If she hadn't sent someone out to inquire about the news, she wouldn't have known that Mu Lianfeng was living with Zhao Yuner in Shuilan village for a long time. Thinking of this, Murong Shuang couldn't suppress the jealousy in her heart. If Mu Lianfeng treated others like this, it would be fine. But it had to be a little peasant woman in the countryside. She had no status or appearance. That was it. She lost to Zhao Yuner. How could she accept it? Murong Shuang looked at Mu Lianfeng feeling wronged. Cousin, what are you talking about? I'm your wife. Imperial Consort Hua was the one who arranged our marriage. I'm going to marry you in the future. Who is this woman? Murong Shuang said, pointing at Zhao Yun, and Mu Lianfeng. I will handle the marriage arranged by Imperial Concubine Hua. I have already reported it to the Emperor. I am waiting for the Emperor to make the decision. Cousin, I have no feelings for you. It is purely brotherly love. So in this life I will never marry you. Mu Lianfeng originally didn't have the heart to speak to Murong Shuang so bluntly. This time he was really angry. Since it was impossible for them to be together, he had to make it clear. Otherwise Murong Shuang would only have hope, seeing Zhao Yun'er as a thorn in her side, a thorn in her flesh. Murong Shuang was almost made to cry by Mu Lianfeng's words. Cousin, you can't treat me like this. The person you want to marry can only be me. Grandma won't accept the two of you being together. Murong Shuang couldn't help shaking her head. Mu Lianfeng replied coldly. This is my business. You just need to remember that in this life I will not marry you. Murong Shuang was on the verge of breaking down after hearing what Mu Lianfeng said. She really couldn't figure out what Mu Lianfeng saw in Zhao Yun'er. For a village woman, he was so determined to not be with her. Cousin, you know that I like you. Except for you, I don't want to marry anyone else. Murong Shuang cried in front of Mu Lianfeng. Since a tough attitude didn't work, she could only pretend to be soft and see if Mu Lianfeng's heart would soften. Mu Lianfeng glanced at Murong Shuang with an expressionless face, then calmly replied, Cousin, you should know that if I'm heartless towards you, even if you tie me to you, it'll be completely meaningless. My heart isn't with you. Cousin, Guning said. Alright, you should hurry back. If you continue to cause trouble here, don't blame me for being impolite. Mu Lianfeng began to drive her away impatiently. He felt that Zhao Yun'er would feel uncomfortable with Murong Shuang's presence. Murong Shuang glared at Zhao Yun'er and Dao fiercely. She knew that if she stayed here, she would only make Mu Lianfeng hate her. If she wanted to win Mu Lianfeng's heart, it would be really impossible. She should go back to get help now. As long as Mu Lianfeng left Zhao Yun'er, everything would be fine. Murong Shuang sat in the carriage. Watching the carriage go away, Zhao Yun'er's frown didn't loosen. Her intuition told her that today's incident was just the beginning. There would be more storms waiting for her in the future. Zhao Yun'er had a little understanding of what kind of person Murong Shuang was. She wasn't a kind person, so if she was to be with Mu Lianfeng, she would have to go through some setbacks in the future. Chapter 1325. Daddy. Dao hugged Zhao Yun'er and called out softly. He was a little scared by Murong Shuang, so he hugged Mu Lianfeng's thigh. Mu Lianfeng patted Daodu's head and said to Daodu, What's wrong, Daodu? Daddy, that person was so fierce. He wanted to hit Daodu and mother. Luckily Daddy is back. Mu Lianfeng's heart ached for Daodu and he said softly to Daodu, Don't worry, Daddy is here. No one can bully your mother and Daodu. Daodu nodded heavily. Yes. Yun'er. Mu Lianfeng glanced at Zhao Yun'er, then walked to Zhao Yun'er and called out to her softly. He looked at Zhao Yun'er with pity in his eyes. I'm sorry for what happened today. Zhao Yun'er twitched the corner of her mouth and replied, It's nothing. Zhao Yun'er felt that although what happened today was a little bad, Mu Lianfeng didn't feel too guilty. Mu Lianfeng, I'm fine. As long as our hearts are together, nothing can stop us. Yes. Mu Lianfeng was touched. Seeing that Zhao Yun'er was about to clean up the clothes on the floor, Mu Lianfeng hurriedly bent down and said to Zhao Yun'er, Yun'er, let me do it. You and Dao to go and rest. It's okay, I'll do it. What did it look like for a man to wash clothes? It would be fine if he did it at home, but there wasn't much water left in the water tank at home, so he had to go to the river to do it. If the villagers saw Mu Lianfeng carrying a wooden basin to wash clothes, who knew what kind of gossip there would be? Yun'er, it's fine. Let me do it. I can do it. Zhao Yun'er saw that Mu Lianfeng had misunderstood. She didn't think that Mu Lianfeng couldn't do it, but she was afraid of others. If she could avoid those gossips, she would try her best to avoid them. After all, those hot topics were really unpleasant. Mu Lianfeng, you're tired too. Let me do it. You rest. Go and talk to Daodu. Daodu pulled Mu Lianfeng's hand and said, Daddy, you haven't taught Daodu how to read for a few days. Can you teach Daodu? Mu Lianfeng had been busy these days. When he saw Daodu's expectant eyes, Mu Lianfeng replied, Okay, Daddy will teach you. Daodu's little face showed a satisfied expression. Looking at the sweet and loving father and son together, Zhao Yuner hoped that the days in her heart could continue like this in the future. Zhao Yuner saw Mu Lianfeng and Dao Du enter the house, so she packed up her clothes and walked to the river. When she came to the river, there were only a few women washing things. Zhao Yuner found an empty slate and went to wash it. At this time, she saw a woman walking towards the river. She was wearing a beautiful set of clothes. It was beautiful, but the color was slightly brighter. It looked better than the coarse clothes that the villagers wore. This set of clothes only cost a few hundred copper coins. It wasn't much for Zhao Yuner's current financial situation, but it was still relatively precious to the villagers. Zhao Yuner narrowed her eyes and looked at the person who came. It was actually Qian Chuanxiu. It was the first time she saw Qian Chuanxiu dressed so seductively. Chapter 1326. Yes, it's so beautiful. I don't think many people in our village can afford it. Qian Xiaoxue, where did you buy it? Qian Xiaoxue, you're so beautiful. You look even more beautiful in this new dress. You look like a big girl. There are few people in the village who wear better clothes than you. The women spoke one after another. Although their words were pleasant to hear, many of their eyes were filled with jealousy. Qian Chuanxiu lowered her head to look at the dress she was wearing. She was also very satisfied. For decades, she had been wearing clothes made of coarse cloth. Before she got married, her family was poor, so she naturally didn't have the opportunity to wear good clothes. After she got married, she finally lived a slightly better life. Unfortunately, her husband was disappointing and died within a few years. It wasn't easy for her to take care of 2 children. After so many years, she didn't have the money to buy clothes for herself at all. It wasn't until today that she finally had a beautiful new dress. Speaking of this dress, of course, she didn't buy it herself. She didn't have the money at all. The money she spent on this dress was given by Zhao Wenxue. In order to make her happy, Zhao Wenxue gave her a lot of money to buy clothes for her. She didn't go to Yang City herself, so she gave the money to Ma Xiaofeng. Her daughter had good taste, so she asked her to wear a casual dress with her. Unexpectedly, she was very satisfied with the dress Ma Xiaofeng brought back. After she tried it on, she was reluctant to take it off. Now that she was wearing it outside, she wanted to let the other people in the village see how beautiful she looked when she dressed up properly. After all, most of the women in the village were just ordinary and she was very beautiful. Qian Chuanxiu felt proud to avoid the envious looks of the villagers. Do I look good? Qian Chuanxiu asked with a smile. Of course. Exactly, Qian Xiaoxue, did someone give you this dress? Qian Chuanxiu smiled. Who gave it to me? Of course I bought it myself. Qian Xiaoxue, did your family make money recently? A woman in the village asked curiously. That's right, Mrs. Qian. These clothes don't look cheap. Facing the questioning of the villagers, Qian Chuanxiu felt a little guilty. She twitched her mouth and said embarrassedly, Clothes are only a few hundred copper coins. As a woman, sometimes we have to treat ourselves better. If we have some money, we can buy one. It's not a big deal. Sister-in-law Qian is really thorough. Ah, that's right. Sister-in-law Qian is open-minded. Most of us can't bear to do that. For people like us, eating is already a problem. Why would we care about what we wear? Even if we wear good clothes, so what? We work every day and wear nice clothes. They will get dirty. Qian Chuanxiu could tell that there was something wrong with these women's words. She didn't want to talk too much with these people. The more she spoke, the more mistakes she would make. Who knew what they would continue to say? Qian Chuanxiu carried a basin of vegetables and washed them quickly. Before she left, she took a bucket of water. After Qian Chuanxiu left, there was a burst of discussion behind him. This Qian Chuanxiu, she's already so old, but she's still dressed so gorgeously. Does she really think that she's still a young lady? Chapter 1327. I think this Qian Chuanxiu is just trying to dress up and seduce the men in the village. That's right. Otherwise, why would she dress up like that at such an old age? She's so seductive. I wonder who she's trying to seduce. We're all decent women. We won't dress like that. Zhao Yuner heard several women's chatter by the river, and felt it was very interesting. Sure enough, women liked men who behaved one way in front of others and another way behind others' backs. Moreover, it was easy for them to be jealous. If a woman stood out too much, it would cause all kinds of rumors. However, this was Qian Chuanxiu's business. How others criticized Qian Chuanxiu was their business. Anyway, it had nothing to do with her. Zhao Yuner had just finished washing her clothes, and was about to leave when she heard those women's gossip again. TSK. You don't know the reason why Qian Chuanxiu dresses up like that, right? A woman said mysteriously. Hearing that, several other women stretched their ears to listen carefully. They wanted to know what was going on. What's the reason? Hurry up and tell us. That's right. Hurry up and say it. She's dressed so seductively. What is she doing? What else can she do? She's seducing men, of course. I don't have any evidence, so I don't dare to say it, but I saw with my own eyes that the second son of old Zhao Wenshui, sneaked into Qian Chuanxiu's house again. Is this true? Did you really see it? I have good eyesight. How can I see it wrong? Why did he sneak into someone's house? There must be something going on. Most people know how to avoid it. These two people are most likely together. No wonder Qian Chuanxiu dresses like that. It turns out that she's seducing Zhao Wenshui. Poor Zhao Wenshui's wife. I guess she still doesn't know that her man has another woman. That woman, Qian Chuanxiu, has a seductive face. She looks like a vixen and does all kinds of improper things. Sai, if you want to blame someone, blame it on us women for not knowing how to dress ourselves up. We don't look like foxes at all. It would be strange if men don't like us. Should we remind Zhao Wenshui's wife about this? Poor people can't be kept in the dark forever. Forget it, let's not cause too much trouble. Other people's business is other people's business. If it isn't, they won't say that we're spreading rumors. That's true. When Zhao Yuner heard these women gossiping, the corners of her mouth curved up slightly. It seemed that there would be a good show to watch in the future. She didn't know if old Zhao's family would flip the pot open after hearing this. With Li Chuanying's temper, she was afraid that he would make a fuss. This Qian Chuanxiu probably didn't have a good life. Thinking that the bitch would be punished, Zhao Yuner couldn't help but feel sour in her heart. Zhao Yuner held the wooden basin and listened to the gossip, then went back. Nothing much happened in the next few days. Zhao Yuner went up the mountain to pick tea every day. She casually found several workers to help her grow tea. Chapter 1328. If she planted them now and took good care of them, they would be able to pick tea leaves next year. After 2 or 3 years, the tea trees would be able to grow. At that time, she wouldn't have to go up the mountain to pick tea leaves every day. She would be able to pick more tea leaves on the barren mountain. However, Zhao Yuner naturally couldn't handle such a large mountain alone. Currently, she had hired a few men in the village to help her. When Zhu Eru was done, Zhao Yuner wanted to let him take care of these tea trees and pay him a salary. This would also give Mulan's family an additional income. It was better than giving it to others and letting others earn the money. In the beginning, the saplings had to be watered and so on. After a few years, she wouldn't have to be so meticulous. Thinking about how she wouldn't have to work hard to hire people to pick tea leaves in the future and could just sit at home and count the money, Zhao Yuner felt a burst of comfort in her heart. Mu Lianfeng seemed to be more idle these 2 days. He accompanied Daodu at home all day long and taught Daodu how to read and read. On this day when Zhao Yuner was preparing lunch at home, she saw Zhao Ping running over. Sister Yun. Hearing Zhao Ping's words, Zhao Yuner subconsciously frowned. Why did Zhao Ping come over to her place? Listening to Zhao Ping's tone, it sounded like she was trying to curry favor with her. It probably wasn't anything good. Zhao Yuner put down the spatula in her hand and walked over to Zhao Ping. She asked Zhao Ping, Sister Ping, why are you looking for me? Zhao Ping twitched the corner of her mouth and smiled at Zhao Yuner. Sister Yuner, I have something to discuss with you. Zhao Yuner faintly raised her eyebrows and asked, What do you want to discuss with me? Tell me. Little Sister Yuner, I see that you haven't been setting up a stall these days, so your little Mao naturally won't be of any use. How about this? Can you sell your little Mao to me at a cheaper price? Otherwise, wouldn't it be a waste to leave it at home? Zhao Yuner was slightly stunned. She was wondering why Zhao Ping'er had come over. It turned out that she had designs on her family's Xiao Mao. When Xiao Mao heard that Zhao Ping'er wanted to buy it, it was very angry. It shouted angrily at Zhao Ping'er. Zhao Yuner turned around and glanced at Xiao Mao. This little fellow was too intelligent. It was most likely unwilling to be bought. When Zhao Yuner looked at it, little Mao's eyes softened. It looked at Zhao Yuner with pleading eyes, as if it was afraid that Zhao Yuner would really abandon it. How could she sell it? Even if you raised an animal for a long time, you would develop feelings for it. Moreover, Xiao Mao was different from other animals. Zhao Yuner faintly replied Zhao Ping'er, Big Sister Ping'er, who said that my family's Xiao Mao is useless now. It's very useful, so I'm not selling it. Zhao Ping'er was a little anxious. Little sister Yuner, what use can you be? You don't set up a stall now. You can take an ox cart wherever you go. Why do you have to raise a donkey? It's a troublesome thing to raise it at home. After listening to Zhao Pinger's words, Zhao Yuner couldn't help but snort coldly. Big sister Pinger, I'll have to trouble you to worry about it. But this is my business. I'll decide on my own. You don't have to worry about it. If you don't want to sell it, then don't sell it. I came over to buy it out of kindness. If you don't want to sell it, then keep it at home and eat it. Zhao Pinger snorted coldly. After saying that, she turned around and left angrily. Chapter 1329. The reason why Zhao Ping came to Zhao Yuner was that she wanted to buy a donkey from Zhao Yuner at a discount. After all, she didn't have much money left. Once she bought the donkey, she could start preparing for the breakfast stall. Now that Zhao Yuner refused to sell it to her, she could only buy it herself. As for buying a donkey, Zhao Pinger thought that she couldn't go there alone. She needed to ask Ma Xiaofeng to go with her. The donkey they bought would definitely be better. With that thought in mind, Zhao Pinger walked towards Ma Xiaofeng's home. When she arrived at Ma Xiaofeng's home, Ma Xiaofeng was sitting under a tree in the yard. Xiaofeng. Zhao Pinger called her with a smile, then walked towards Ma Xiaofeng. Ma Xiaofeng, however, acted like she didn't hear her. Zhao Pinger walked closer and patted Ma Xiaofeng's shoulder. She looked at Ma Xiaofeng and asked with confusion, Xiaofeng, why don't you talk to me? Ma Xiaofeng was struck dumb for a second, then looked at Zhao Pinger. Ma Xiaofeng forced a smile. Hi Pinger, you're here. Yes, Xiaofeng, I just wanted to ask you whether you're free this afternoon. If you're free, let's go to the town to buy a donkey together. After Zhao Pinger said that, Ma Xiaofeng was silent for a while, then slowly said, Sure. Ah Xiaofeng, I'll come to see you later. Ma Xiaofeng nodded. Sure. Zhao Pinger noticed that Ma Xiaofeng was a little absent-minded, so she looked at Ma Xiaofeng with concern. Xiaofeng, do you feel uncomfortable today? You don't seem to be yourself. I'm fine. Ma Xiaofeng replied to Zhao Pinger, but she looked a little displeased. Zhao Pinger gave Ma Xiaofeng a glance, but still felt that something was wrong. Ma Xiaofeng's face was full of thoughts. Xiaofeng, are you sure you're fine? If you're in trouble, you must tell me. Zhao Pinger really took Ma Xiaofeng as her friend, so she cared about Ma Xiaofeng very much. She was worried that Ma Xiaofeng might have an accident. Seeing Zhao Pinger's concerned look, Ma Xiaofeng didn't want to talk at all, because it was hard for her to say it. The reason why she was so worried was indeed because something bad had happened. Originally, she was already miserable enough after being teased by Lu San. Now Lu San, this scoundrel, was even more excessive. When he saw her sitting in her courtyard, he even came to her door to tease her when he passed by, saying some filthy words. If other people in the village saw it, there would be a lot of gossip. Thinking of that, Ma Xiaofeng was mad. Lu San had bullied her once, but now he wanted to do it again and again. If he did it again and again, she wouldn't be able to live in the village anymore, because she didn't have the face to do it. Seeing that Lu San was so shameless, Ma Xiaofeng had to act like a shrew. She took the rice fork at home and threatened Lu San. Get out of my sight or I'll kill you. When Lu San saw Ma Xiaofeng's fierce look, the corners of his mouth curled up, revealing a wretched expression. Oh, this little lady is quite fierce. I'll go, okay? Chapter 1330. This scoundrel Lu San, who knew if he would come to find trouble with him again. Anyway, she couldn't let others know that she had been raped by Lu San, or she wouldn't be able to get married in the future. Because of this matter, Ma Xiaofeng was worried for a long time and couldn't come back to her senses for a long time. When Zhao Pinger talked to her, she didn't respond. Pinger, I'll be fine. Don't worry about me. Great, as long as you're fine. Our breakfast stand is almost ready. You have to be well at this time so that we can live a good life. Got it? Pinger, you can go back now. Call me later. Sure. Zhao Pinger nodded. In the afternoon, the two of them went to Yang City together to buy a donkey. They didn't have a car to go there. If they chartered an ox cart, it would cost dozens of copper coins. Neither of them was willing to pay, so they walked there. Since they were from the countryside, they usually walked a lot. Shuilan village wasn't too far away from Sun City, so it wasn't too strenuous for them to walk there slowly. Most importantly, they could buy a donkey and take a donkey back when they came back. It was just a walk, so it wasn't a big deal. On the way, the afternoon sun was very hot, and the two of them were a little out of breath while walking. It was almost summer now, and the weather was getting hotter and hotter. After walking for a while, they were out of breath with sweat all over their foreheads. They had to walk and rest for a while. When it really came to summer, it would be very hot. Xiaofeng, it's so hot. Zhao Ping covered her chest and said. Ma Xiaofeng nodded. Yeah, we have no choice. It's almost summer. Well, I'm afraid of summer the most. We have to take a shower every day. If we don't take a shower often, our bodies will rot easily. What's wrong with that? Just wash it. It's just that when it's summer, it's more troublesome for us to make breakfast. We have to sell or eat the things we make on the same day. Otherwise, the things will spoil easily, Ma Xiaofeng said to Zhao Ping. After all, food in summer was easy to rot, and they couldn't sell the rotten food. Otherwise, the customers would definitely come to cause trouble. Xiaofeng, I didn't think of it until you mentioned it. Now that you mention it, it's true. What should we do? It's fine. Maybe our business will be good and we can sell everything. If it's not good, we can prepare less. We can't lose money anyway. Xiaofeng, you're right. Ah, you're so smart. Ma Xiaofeng's mouth twitched. She felt that Zhao Ping was no different from an idiot. So what? Didn't normal people understand this logic? After walking and stopping for a while, the two of them finally arrived at the donkey stall in Sun City. After asking about the price, they found that the donkeys were not cheap. Most of them cost more than 2 taels of silver, around 3 to 4 taels of silver. The smaller ones cost 2 taels of silver. Zhao Ping was very reluctant. If she wanted to buy a bigger donkey, she didn't know how much money she would have to spend. Zhao Ping didn't have much money on hand. She couldn't bear to spend so much money all of a sudden. After all, she didn't know if she would need money in the future. It was always good to save more money. Chapter 1331. Ma Xiaofeng smiled and said, Of course you can. Zhao Ping was the one who paid for it, not her. Whatever Zhao Ping wanted to buy, she would definitely listen to Zhao Ping. Otherwise, if Zhao Ping asked her to pay for it, where would she get so much money? But Sister Ping, we can't buy something too small. If it can't pull us, it will be troublesome. We have to carry a lot of things every day. A small donkey won't have the strength. Ma Xiaofeng reminded her. After all, sometimes the money should be spent. Otherwise, if they spent the money and bought an unsuitable donkey, it would be better not to buy it. Zhao Ping felt that Ma Xiaofeng's words were very reasonable, so she agreed and said, Xiaofeng, that's fine. Let's buy something slightly bigger. Okay. But back then my little sister Yun bought a little donkey. Look at that donkey's strength, it's quite strong. Runs very fast. Ma Xiaofeng knew that Zhao Ping was talking about Xiao donkey. She had also seen that small donkey. It was indeed very strong and was different from ordinary donkeys. Sister Ping, your sister Yun is picking up other people's leftovers. Even if we see a treasure, we may not be able to pick it up. When Ma Xiaofeng said that, Zhao Ping seemed a little discouraged. She sighed slightly and said to Ma Xiaofeng, Then let's look again. What if we can also pick up a leftover one? Ma Xiaofeng had to let Zhao Ping go. Zhao Ping walked around and looked at the donkeys, hoping to find a good one. However, these donkeys looked similar in appearance. Zhao Ping didn't know much about donkeys, so she didn't know which one to buy. She asked the stall owner, Uncle, do you have a bigger and cheaper donkey here? A bigger and cheaper one? The old man thought for a while and finally pointed at a donkey tied under a tree. This donkey was separated from the other donkeys and was tied up alone. Zhao Ping and Ma Xiaofeng both took a look and saw that this donkey was relatively big. What do you think about that donkey? If you want to buy it, this donkey and a wooden cart will cost you 2 taels of silver. 2 taels of silver to buy a donkey and a wooden cart. Under normal circumstances, it would cost more than 2 taels of silver. The price it was considered low. Most importantly, this donkey looked quite big, so its strength was definitely not weak. Ma Xiaofeng felt that something couldn't be cheap for no reason. Such a big donkey was only sold for such a small amount of money. There must be something wrong with it. She asked the old man, Uncle, why is this thing so cheap? Is there something wrong with this donkey? When Ma Xiaofeng asked, the old man who was selling the donkey suddenly became unhappy. He scolded Ma Xiaofeng, Little girl, what are you saying? Didn't you say that there is something wrong with my donkey? If others heard this, how can I continue to do business? Ma Xiaofeng quickly waved her hand and said, No, uncle. I didn't mean that. I just feel that such a big and good donkey only costs 2 taels of silver. It's a bit abnormal. Chapter 1332. The old man's words embarrassed Ma Xiaofeng and Zhao Ping. The corners of Ma Xiaofeng's mouth twitched. She was too embarrassed to smile. Uncle. I don't mean that. I'm just curious. If your donkey is so big, why is it so cheap? The old man snorted. There must be a reason why it's so cheap. Otherwise my donkey wouldn't be so cheap. Don't worry, my donkey is cheap not because there's something wrong with it. It's just a little stupid. Sometimes it acts like a block of wood and can't be ordered to move. Hearing the uncle's explanation, Zhao Pinger and Ma Xiaofeng finally understood. So it was like this. Hearing it, they didn't think much of it. Zhao Pinger looked to Ma Xiaofeng and asked Ma Xiaofeng for her opinion. Xiaofeng, do you want to buy this donkey? It's a little stupid, but I don't think it's a big deal. Zhao Pinger nodded. Sure, it's fine if it's a little stupid. Great, let's buy this one. Can save a lot of money. Otherwise, such a big donkey would cost at least 2 taels of silver in addition to the carriage. 2 taels of silver was enough for them to buy a lot of things. As long as it can run, it's fine. We just need to spend some time taming it. It's not a big deal. Sure. Zhao Pinger made up her mind to buy this stupid donkey. Uncle, that's fine. Then I'll buy this donkey. However, if this donkey is sick or something, can you take responsibility? If I buy a sick donkey, then I'll be at a disadvantage. In order to prevent this donkey from having any problems, Zhao Pinger thought it was better to make it clear before they bought it. Hearing that, the old man remained silent for a while, then said, If you have any problems with this donkey, you can come to me. However, if you don't want this donkey because it's too stupid, I won't agree because I'll make it clear to you now. Sure, uncle. That's enough. Sure. Zhao Pinger paid the money, and the old man brought the donkey over. He put a wooden carriage on the donkey and handed it to Zhao Pinger. Come on, girl. This donkey is yours. It's easy to raise a donkey and it doesn't eat any food. It's easy to raise it. Yes, uncle. Looking at her own donkey, Zhao Pinger was a little excited. It was so big and it looked like it had a lot of strength. It might even be better than the donkey in Zhao Yiner's house. Xiaofeng, come sit. Zhao Pinger excitedly waved at Ma Xiaofeng, wanting Ma Xiaofeng to experience it with her. Ma Xiaofeng's mouth also revealed a smile. Although this donkey wasn't hers, if she wanted to use it in the future, she would have a share. She didn't have to worry at all. The two of them sat together on the ox carriage. It was very spacious and it felt much better than squeezing with other people. Great. Sure enough, it's good to be rich. We don't have to sit in an ox carriage like the country people. We can sit in a horse carriage. We're already so comfortable in a donkey carriage. If we sit in a horse carriage, it will be even more comfortable. Zhao Pinger touched her donkey carriage inside. Chapter 1333. Ma Xiaofeng nodded and said, Sister Pinger, of course. It's definitely more comfortable in the carriage. It's so soft inside. How can it not be comfortable? Sister Pinger, when I go back, I'll make some mattresses and put them in the carriage. It'll be more comfortable for us to sit on. Zhao Pinger replied happily, Okay, Xiaofeng. You're so nice. I don't know how to make these things. Ma Xiaofeng replied to Zhao Pinger with a smile, It's my pleasure. Sister Pinger, just leave it to me. The two of them went to the market excitedly and bought some things to go back. They were all the things they needed to prepare for breakfast tomorrow. When they thought that everything was ready and they could open for business, Zhao Pinger and Ma Xiaofeng couldn't hold back their excitement. After all, if they opened for business, it meant that they could make money and have an income in the future. They didn't buy many things for the first time. They were afraid that they wouldn't be able to sell many things on the first opening. If they prepared too many things, it would be easy to spoil them. After buying the things, the two of them rushed to Shuilan village together. Now that they had a donkey, Zhao Pinger planned to pick up Ma Xiaofeng every morning and send Ma Xiaofeng back home when they finished setting up the stall. Anyway, the donkey ran much faster than people walked. The two villages were not far away from each other. It only took them 10 minutes to go back and forth by donkey cart. Seeing that the donkey ran quite fast and pulled the two of them easily, Zhao Pinger felt that she had gotten a bargain at a low price. She gloated and said, That old man is really stupid. If he didn't say that the donkey was stupid, who would know? Isn't it running well now? Hee, we saved a few taels of silver at once. Yeah, it's pretty good. Sister Pinger, you can't say that the old man is stupid. He's actually quite kind. If it were an ordinary person, they definitely wouldn't tell others that there's something wrong with the donkey. Zhao Pinger nodded heavily. Xiaofeng, you're the most reasonable one. You're much more reasonable than I am. Ma Xiaofeng's mouth twitched. If it weren't for the fact that she was relying on Zhao Pinger, she really wouldn't have bothered with Zhao Pinger. The donkey suddenly stopped as if it was running. Zhao Ping'er and Ma Xiaofeng suddenly frowned and asked, what's wrong? Why did you stop running? Ma Xiaofeng shook her head. I don't know. I was running fine. I didn't see anything happen. Zhao Ping'er was puzzled. The donkey definitely wouldn't stop running. There must be some reason. Hence, she hurriedly got down from the ox cart and walked around the donkey. She didn't find anything unusual. Zhao Ping'er scratched her head in confusion. She couldn't understand. Since there was nothing wrong, why did the donkey stop? Hey donkey, hurry up and leave. We still have to go back. Zhao Ping'er chided. However, the donkey acted as if it didn't hear Zhao Ping'er's words. It simply ignored her and didn't move. Zhao Ping'er was instantly angered. This donkey was really disobedient. It acted as if it didn't hear what she said. You damn donkey. Are you deaf? Didn't you hear what I said? Really? Hurry up and run. It's so uncomfortable to be under the hot sun. However, this time, Zhao Ping'er's donkey went overboard. It almost made Zhao Ping'er angry. The donkey's eyes slowly closed as if it was about to fall asleep. Chapter 1334. Ma Xiaofeng hurriedly called out to Zhao Ping'er. Zhao Ping'er glanced at it and realized that it was just as Ma Xiaofeng had said. The donkey was about to fall asleep. Seeing the donkey sleeping, Zhao Ping'er exploded. This damn donkey, it was running well, but it actually stopped to sleep. See if I don't teach it a lesson. With that, Zhao Ping'er lifted one leg and kicked the donkey's butt. The donkey was awakened by the pain, and as if it was frightened, it immediately rushed out. Zhao Ping'er looked at the donkey that flew out and was shocked. Seeing the donkey running so fast, even if she wanted to chase after it, she couldn't. Zhao Ping'er was very anxious. If the donkey ran away, what should she do? Wouldn't the 2 taels of silver be wasted? Compared to Zhao Ping'er, Ma Xiaofeng was even more unfortunate. Zhao Ping'er just got down, but Ma Xiaofeng was still sitting on the carriage. So when the donkey ran out, her whole body leaned back and she was almost thrown off. Fortunately, she caught it. However, the donkey ran like crazy. Ma Xiaofeng was jolted and she was still about to be thrown off. As the donkey ran, Ma Xiaofeng screamed in fear. Zhao Ping'er shouted from behind Ma Xiaofeng, Xiaofeng, you have to watch the donkey. Don't let it run away. If the donkey ran away, the 2 taels of silver would be gone. Zhao Ping'er felt her heart ache just thinking about it. Now she didn't have much money left. If she really wanted to buy another donkey, she probably couldn't afford it. Ma Xiaofeng's heart was about to jump out. She didn't have the mood to care so much. Her hands firmly grabbed the handle of the carriage to stabilize her body. Now she could only pray that she would not fall to her death. Even if the donkey really ran away, it was none of her business. Who asked Zhao Ping'er, that idiot, to kick the donkey's butt? The donkey was startled and she was also implicated. After Zhao Ping'er shouted, she hurriedly chased after the donkey, wanting to catch up with it. In the end, when he was panting, he still saw the donkey disappear from his sight. Zhao Ping'er had a bitter look on her face. She slapped her thigh and wailed, God, what should I do? Damn donkey. What Zhao Ping'er was most afraid of was that Ma Xiaofeng had an accident and the donkey ran away with her. She couldn't run anymore. Zhao Ping'er was so anxious that she couldn't do anything. She could only drag her heavy steps forward. As for the frightened donkey, it ran all the way. In the end, a big tree suddenly appeared at the corner. The donkey couldn't avoid it and hit the tree head-on. The carriage was also hit hard. Ma Xiaofeng couldn't resist such a strong force and fell forward heavily. In the end, although the donkey stopped, Ma Xiaofeng was also tortured badly. There was a big bump on her forehead and it was very painful. It seemed that her skin was scraped and blood was oozing out. Ouch. Ma Xiaofeng took a long breath in. She felt that she was going to die. It was all Zhao Ping'er's fault. She was so miserable because of Zhao Ping'er. That idiot. Rubbing her aching head, Ma Xiaofeng felt that she was going to die. She fell to the ground all of a sudden and couldn't get up. She could only slow down for a while. Chapter 1335. The moment Zhao Ping'er went over, she saw Ma Xiaofeng sitting on the ground. She hurried over to Ma Xiaofeng and asked Ma Xiaofeng, Xiaofeng, what happened to you? Are you all right? Ma Xiaofeng looked up weakly and glanced at Zhao Ping'er. She was almost angered to death by Zhao Ping'er. This idiot. She still asked her what happened and whether she was all right. Wasn't this all her fault? If she hadn't hit the donkeys, but would she be in such a miserable state? Now there was a scar on her head. Could it be that Zhao Ping'er was blind and didn't see it? But even though she was angry, in order to continue doing business with Zhao Ping'er in the future and to let Zhao Ping'er help her earn money, she couldn't scold Zhao Ping'er too much now. She had to coax Zhao Ping'er. She would just take it as her bad luck this time. Ma Xiaofeng twitched the corner of her mouth and replied weakly, "Hey Ping'er, older sister, I'm in so much pain." Looking at the injured Ma Xiaofeng, Zhao Ping'er felt a little guilty. If she hadn't kicked the donkeys, but Ma Xiaofeng definitely wouldn't be injured. However, Zhao Ping'er thought about it from another perspective. It didn't seem like she was responsible for it. If there was anyone to blame, it could only be the donkey. She had stopped and asked it to leave, but it didn't leave. She had only kicked it out of anger. Usually when she kicked the dog at home, the dog wouldn't have much of a reaction. Who knew that this stupid donkey would actually go crazy and rush out like this? If it hadn't hit the tree, who knew if it would have run even further, and she probably wouldn't have been able to catch up. Zhao Ping'er glared at the donkey angrily and put all the blame on the donkey. She scolded the donkey. "You donkey, you're too much. When I asked you to run, you didn't run. When I didn't ask you to run, you ran so fast. Look at how badly you hurt Xiaofeng. It's all your fault." Ma Xiaofeng looked at Zhao Ping'er speechlessly. It was Zhao Ping'er who was stupid. She had provoked the donkey, but now she was pushing the blame to a beast. How interesting. Ma Xiaofeng really didn't know what to say to an idiot like Zhao Ping'er. She could only let Zhao Ping'er do what she wanted. Even though she was hurt, Xiaofeng's fault, she couldn't let Zhao Ping take responsibility. The donkey didn't react to Zhao Ping'er's words. It didn't understand at all. However, in Zhao Ping'er's eyes, the donkey's reaction was shameless. It didn't want to admit its mistake. She continued to scold the donkey angrily. "Stupid donkey, you're being disobedient, aren't you? You're doing this on purpose, right? See if I don't teach you a lesson." Zhao Ping'er couldn't take it anymore. She rolled up her sleeves and was ready to hit the donkey again. Ma Xiaofeng was worried that Zhao Ping'er would make the situation worse. She quickly pulled Zhao Ping'er back and said to Zhao Ping'er, "Sister Ping'er, forget it. You can't hit it anymore. Look, because you kicked it, the donkey ran away. If you kick it again, it will definitely run away again. What should we do if we can't find it?" Zhao Ping'er frowned. She rolled her eyes and replied to Ma Xiaofeng, "Xiaofeng, what you said makes sense." However, Zhao Ping'er wasn't willing to let the donkey go just like that. She was determined to teach it a lesson. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.